1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I think we're going to have a light breakfast.
Yeah.
We're going to have to really kill it at lunch. And then dinner is just going to be
free for all.
But you have to wait till after the draft for dinner. But you can't really enjoy barbecue while the draft is going on.
No.
So that's sort of a catch-22.
I can't be like all sauce all over my face and my hands trying to use an elbow to like scroll up to see the latest pick or trade.
Last year, though, it would have worked with the number 4 pick, though. Sauce Gardner.
Yeah. You've been waiting for that one, haven't you?
No, that dad joke just came out of nowhere.
Sure?
You handed it to me.
No. This is like when Ian Eagle sat on Jawbreaker for the whole year and then finally unleashed it.
Wait.
That's what he told us. And you've been sitting on this one for like at least 2
You were
weeks.
just talking about how you can't get sauce on your hands so you scroll down during the draft. I mean, come on. That was put in my lap. I had no choice but to spike it home.
Sure.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
What up? Welcome to the show. Hope you're having a great Monday. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We are 1 month away from Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. And forgive me on this one because I don't want to be that storm cloud that's raining on everyone's fun here, Perloff. But as far as the Detroit Lions go, I'm excited to see what they're doing, but I'm not predicting some major success for them this season. They did not make the playoffs last year, people. It's almost like we forgot that they had this really bad beginning of the season because they ended on such a high note.
Yeah.
And beating the Packers and beating Aaron Rodgers in his final game at Lambeau, that doesn't automatically mean you're going to like the NFC Championship game the next year. The hype has been out of control for the Detroit Lions, and unfortunately, I think it's going to hurt them because we can't just be happy and excited about the Lions. Now it's got to be an overdrive where they're going to be like this great team. There's just no evidence that that's the case.
They won 8 of their last 10. Their red-hot offense coordinator, Ben Johnson, decided not to leave because he thought something special was going on here in Detroit, had multiple head coaching offers. They have Jared Goff apparently has been just on top of his game, taking it to a new level in the preseason. Everything is looking, I understand their receiver, Jameson Williams, got suspended, but he wasn't even there last year for the hot streak anyway. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a legit star wide receiver. I think there's every reason to be excited, but there's one key factor you're forgetting here.
What's that?
If you have a bunch of guys who can walk and chew gum at the same time, they can win that NFC North. This is the NFC North. I understand the Jets are getting a lot of pregame hype, but they're the AFC East, Maggie. You basically have to be better to win the AFC East than you have to win the Super Bowl because it's such a hard division week in and week out. The Lions are in an easy division, and they're clearly a very, very good offense whose defense can't get worse, will probably get better.
No.
I'm excited.
You're wrong. You're close on the word, but you have the wrong word. They're not in an easy division. They're in an even division. And that means you can lose on any given day. That means you're not going to run the table in your division. I think you have a lot of teams that are kind of like right around each other. If we think the Bears are going to take a step forward, Justin Fields is getting all this MVP love. If you're looking at, you are the biggest Jordan Love fan.
I love Jordan Love.
That exists in this country. Jordan Love's parents don't think that he's going to have a better season than you. And as far as the Vikings, listen, the Vikings ended up being kind of frauds when it came to the playoffs, and losing at home to the Giants was a bummer. But they won a lot of games, and they could do that again. So, I don't think the Vikings are now going to be like a 7-10 team. So it's an even division. I don't think that the Lions or anyone's going to run away with the NFC North.
I think it's one of the more. If I had to pick it, I think it's the second easiest division to pick. Chiefs is the easiest. Maybe the Jaguars, and then the Lions are in there because the AFC East, you have all sorts of problems. You have Buffalo, the Jets, the Dolphins. AFC North has nothing but talent.
Yeah.
The AFC South will probably be the Jags. AFC West has the Chiefs. But then you have every other division in the NFC is pretty much up for. I think there are a lot of divisions that are more up for grabs. Like, who's winning the NFC South? Do you have any idea?
No, but again, even probably.
I think the NFC North is a little more lopsided towards the Lions. Just on the way they beat the Packers in Week 18 with Aaron Rodgers, so you'd think they'd have an edge over them. The Bears were the worst team in the NFL, and the Vikings just feel like everything about Minnesota is going backwards. They were 13-4, but it was the weakest 13-4 all the analytics people had ever seen. And, of course, they lost in the first round. So I think that the Lions have a great chance here. But it's not just that. They're exciting. They're a high-octane offense.
Okay, well, that's different. Exciting is one part of it. Do you think they're going to win games?
Yes, I definitely do.
Or that they're going to be a factor when it comes to the playoffs? I mean,
do.
The Lions have no expectations whatsoever, and now all of a sudden have tons and tons and tons. Who does that work out for? I mean, it's like they skipped a step where they could even just be like a team that people kind of like and maybe, can sneak up on an opponent here or there. Instead, the NFL gives them the kickoff, the opening night against the Kansas City Chiefs. They're expecting a lot.
They won 8 of 10, Maggie. That's incredible.
Didn't make the playoffs, Perloff, because they were so bad in the beginning of the season.
I totally understand. They have a great defensive player in Aiden Hutchinson. There's a lot to like about this team. And, okay, I will admit, there is a lovable loser thing about it. They're like the 2016 Cubs. You have to root for it. If you're not a fan of another team in the NFC North, how can you not root for the Lions? They're sort of they got that America's team, I hate to say the sympathy vote, because they're the Lions, and they haven't won forever. We all love Barry Sanders. We all love Calvin Johnson. But we knew the Lions could never win. It feels different to me, Maggie.
I don't even know if they are going to be exciting. They're not the team I think who's going to be the most exciting.
Okay.
And when I say the most exciting, I mean you have no idea how it's going to go from week to week, and it's going to look, I'm sure the wins are going to be spectacular, and I bet the losses are going to be spectacular. But I think it's now the Atlanta Falcons are going to be one of the most interesting teams to watch on offense. Did you read Peter King's column? It's all about, they're calling it positionless offense. They're trying to take a page out of what the San Francisco 49ers do, which is moving guys all around. Really doesn't matter what your designation as far as your position. You're going to do whatever. And they've got all these young and interesting offensive pieces. And I think that is going to be one of the most interesting teams because it's the Falcons. They're going to lose some games in spectacular fashion too. They're going to be interesting. More interesting than the Lions.
If by interesting you mean the most boring team in the NFL, then you might be honest. They're going to run the ball. They drafted a running back number 8. They have a running coach. Arthur Smith used to be Derrick Henry's coordinator in Tennessee. They're going to run. So that, I'm thinking high octane, passing. You're right. Atlanta will have a lot of quirky games, but their style is going to be to take the air out of the ball.
Then why would they have drafted Drake London in the first round in 2022?
They have no idea what they're doing. Do you think they're passing the ball? They just drafted Bijan Robinson. They are definitely not passing.
Well, hold on. Didn't the Lions just drafted running back number 12 overall?
Yeah, 100% for the passing offense. He's not going to.
That's what Bijan's going to do.
I do. Arthur Smith?
He's got to pass the ball at
He's
some
not
point.
A passing coordinator.
But Bijan, I know he's not Derrick Henry. They're not going to ask him to do that. He's not going to carry that kind of load because they also have Tyler Algiers right behind him.
Oh, I mean, wow, Tyler Algiers. I mean, catch lightning in a bottle there. Come on, this is going to be so boring. This is going to be so boring. This is going to be ball control offense.
Okay, so you think the Lions are going to be more interesting?
Yeah, and I don't think you want to see that poll result. If we put up who's going to be a more interesting team, the Lions or the Falcons.
Listen, I lost last week's polls in such spectacular fashion, and one of you. But which one did I lose like terribly? Oh, it was a Jose Altuve cheating. I get it. Did he have the buzzer? I
certainly
lost
won the Rocky
poll.
one.
I won the Rocky poll. I lost the Altuve poll. Was he wearing a buzzer in such spectacular fashion?
But is an MLB player cheating in any form? The answer is always the default answer is yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, put that poll up. I got to tell you, the NFL, I think, thinks like me. You know how many primetime games Atlanta got?
Well, I know. See, that was the Lions last year, though. It's maybe the team nobody sees coming.
No.
Yeah,
0.0. They got no primetime games, Maggie. You think they're Atlanta. Not only that, they're the Atlanta Falcons. Even if they were exciting, nobody wants to watch the Atlanta Falcons. It's just that kind of franchise. They're like a Washington Wizards kind of. Wait, you guys know what I'm talking about? Have you ever been like, oh, yes, Atlanta football, catch it. Catch the excitement.
Well,
yes, every year I'm
they
all about that.
They have one great team in that state, and it's the Georgia Bulldogs. That's all anyone in Atlanta cares about.
Wait a minute, hold on. It might not be technically prime time, but they do have a standalone game. That would be Sunday, October 1st at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. They're playing Jacksonville. I believe that game's got to be in England.
Yeah, I don't.
So it is a standalone game.
I don't think the England games. They have less, actually. Not only do they not have a primetime game, I read they had the most 1 o'clock games of any team. They're the Rutgers of the NFL right now.
That's not true.
They're like, hey, it's like Indiana's so playing Kentucky. Let's in football. Let's put it on at noon. No, I like Atlanta. I think they're really interesting.
No. You can't recover from that.
No,
you can't call them the Rutgers of the NFL and then say, no, I actually like them. We know what you're doing.
I'm like you. I'm kind of a football nerd. I want to see how this experiment works with the multiple positions. And they have these. I love Kyle Pitts. He's from Philadelphia. Went to the same high school as my dad. No big deal. There's a lot of interesting things.
Yeah.
But when you think of sizzle, you think of the Lions who play, in the NFC North. It's going to be a lot of offense.
When you think of sizzle, you think of the Lions?
Well, this Lions team is going to be one of the probably top 5 offense. I would imagine. I think they are.
They're either going to be super exciting or they're going to crash and burn like never. Like the hype around them. I want to like the Lions. I want the Lions to be really good. I'm like you said, I'm rooting for the Lions, but the crash and burn potential is so high because the hype. Like at least with the Jets, there's Aaron Rodgers there. You're putting your money on Jared Goff.
I don't know. It's NFC North. Goff? What is it? What it's like crash in the NFC North, and you could be 6-11 and win the division. They had the 4th ranked offense last year in the entire NFL. That's sizzle.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So we're talking about the most interesting team, the most fun team to watch. Because interesting is kind of like. That could be anything.
How about the word exciting?
It's an exciting team to watch.
Maggie, I have bad news. I literally just put the poll up 8 seconds ago.
No,
There's
don't tell
8 votes. It's 100-0.
I don't want to know.
8 votes.
Yeah.
I mean, literally within seconds, I just hit send and it's 0.
Come on, I know. Listen, the thing about the Falcons, they're one of my 10 commandments. Thou shalt not bet on the Falcons.
Yeah,
I'm not
you
saying
don't want
put
to
your
get
money
involved
on them,
in that.
but I'm saying that they're going to be exciting.
Do you remember that Bucks game where they were basically going to win and there was some terrible call last year?
Yeah.
So you expect a lot of stuff like that. That wasn't as much exciting as frustrating and weird, and that's what's going to happen. It's just going to be odd. They're the oddest team in the league, which is interesting to you. I understand.
Arthur Smith's got that mustache going now.
I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, I mean, their draft history alone, they drafted 2 6'6" receivers and then go to running back. Like, what's going on here?
That's what I'm saying. That's been setting up for this to get unleashed this year.
Yeah.
It's like Pitts, Drake London. Yeah.
Let me throw one more name at you.
Desmond Ridder.
Well,
you know I've been a Ridder fan for a long time.
Yeah, but even you as a Ridder, you think he's efficient at best. Nobody's like, he's not going to be this year's Tua.
Worst compliment ever. He's super efficient.
It's not like they didn't need Michael Vick 2.0. They can still be interesting.
He's going to make a lot of the right decisions.
Yeah, I love that.
Catch the right decisions.
Ooh, Chad
only
Pennington,
in Atlanta.
Too.
I want Desmond Ridder to just be a solid A-. Is that possible? Can he be a B+? They'll win the division.
The thing is, it's not like we're going to get any callers defending Atlanta. We might get some excited that Georgia's number one in the Coaches Bowl. We're not getting any Falcons calls.
We do have 8.3% of our audience does support the Falcons right now. 8.3.
Come on, Falcons
really
fans.
picked up.
I feel like I'm shouting into the void. Come on, Falcons fans. Like, I look behind me and there's no one there.
You know who's really getting screwed in this whole discussion? The fact that it's the defending champion Kansas City Chiefs. And no one's talking about the Chiefs. Maybe you mentioned Travis Kelce's mustache, which is amazing.
Yeah, the mustache thing has really taken over the league and our society. Okay, here's why. It's like pencil in the greatness. They're like clearing. They keep like clearing their own bar for success. It's like, oh, can you win the Super Bowl? Can you do it with Tyreek Hill? Can you do it with Patrick Mahomes on a bad ankle? Like, they just keep setting the bar so high and then clearing it. It's like they have to do something so spectacular now for us to turn our heads. Because I just sort of assume greatness with the Chiefs.
Yeah, but this whole run, have they ever been the preseason hype team? Even though they might be the favorite, we don't pay it. You're right. We just expect
Joe Burrow's the MVP favorite, isn't he, this year? I thought he was.
I'm not sure, but he could be. I don't know with the injury if that might have changed. But I feel like we never hype up the Chiefs. We just like expect them to be really good. And like the Jets, it used to be the Browns with Baker Mayfield. The Chiefs never get any of that energy. They get oh yeah, they're great. No need to talk about them.
Well, kinda. I think they kind of deserve that, right?
Yeah. No, what are you going to say? They're awesome.
And I don't like Samter. You thought there was maybe some Chiefs fatigue. I don't know about that.
It's not fatigue per se, but it's to your point. They're just so boringly good, right? It's like,
but they're not boring. They do the ring around the rosy. Mahomes throwing left-handed passes. They actually are very interesting.
I don't mean like as their play. I mean like they're just so good. It's boring. It's like the Patriots of the 2000s. They were just so good every year. It was just boring to watch them. Even if they were exciting to watch, they were just the Patriots every year. Your Bills, on the other hand, like good team with drama around them. There's no drama around the Chiefs. They're going to be great, and they're going to be great for a long time.
They're not a good August preseason team. Like there's no interest about them in training camp, really. Well, there are teams that like Detroit Lions, for example, who are just amazingly hyped right now. But no need to do that for the Chiefs. We're going to watch every Chiefs game. I mean, there is not a single Chiefs game. They're basically all prime time throughout most of the season.
I mean, Chris Jones is still not reported to camp.
Yeah, they're fine.
Drama.
I know.
I mean,
I'd rather get your drama out of the way early. I think that's the key here.
I think you guys are missing the most exciting team.
More than Atlanta?
If you can somehow wrap your head around it, even more exciting than Desmond Ridder in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know I'm not like breaking new ground here, but the Jaguars, you have Trevor Lawrence. You've got like all these weapons on offense that they keep adding onto it. Doug Peterson has won a Super Bowl. That defense is interesting.
They're going to
kill that division.
Yeah.
Wait.
Super exciting.
On that note, Maggie, everything you said about the Lions, can't you say basically the same thing about the Jaguars? That they're in a weak division. They were a decent team last year, but now we're expecting the world from them.
Well, I think the AFC South is actually a weak division. I think the NFC North is an even division, as I said. I think Trevor Lawrence should be an MVP candidate. I mean, his numbers are probably going to be awesome. Could he throw 40 touchdowns this year? Probably.
He's eighth in MVP preseason odds right now.
I'll tell you right now who I wouldn't count
plus
Jared.
1,600.
I put Jared Goff in that MVP discussion. I'm not joking.
I mean,
he's plus 2,500. He's about 5 or 6 spots behind Trevor.
Right, and he moved up. He was plus 40 to start the season.
Yes,
and
he was plus 4,000.
It's been nothing but glowing remark. I mean, that offense is going to be fire this year. If they win 11 games, Jared Goff throws 40 touchdowns, he's going to be in the MVP mix.
Do you want to put an MVP bet today?
I already did.
On Goff?
Yeah, 26-1. Let's go, Jared Goff.
Said no one ever. 855-212-4CBS.
Anybody can bet on Mahomes at 6-1. That's not going to win you any money. You got to go Goff, and I do like Trevor Lawrence too. That's where you should put your money.
I think I'm going to. 855-212-4CBS. So the most exciting NFL team this season. We want to hear from you. You can watch the show. YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio is where to do it. The Weedos, the Purple Drinkers, they are here and they are in full effect. Getting some questions about my trip to Sesame Place.
Oh, I have 1,000 questions.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later on. We got a lot more pressing matters, including realignment in college sports. This is continuing. Now, the latest whispers are putting can we call it the Pac-12 anymore? The Pac-4 is what I've been seeing.
The conference formerly known as.
It's a symbol now, like Prince. Yeah, some crazy rumors going on about the remaining members of the Pac-4. So we'll get to that in just a little bit. Plus, we do have the craziest moment from the weekend. We'll get to that as well. Glad you're with us. It is Maggie and Perloff. Again, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Who will be the most exciting team in the NFL this season? All right, this show is sponsored in part by BetterHelp. And sometimes in life, we're faced with tough choices, Perloff, and the path forward isn't always clear. So whether you're dealing with decisions around career, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life. So you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. And therapy can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind.
You know, we've all been through some unpredictable times over the past few years, and it's not a sign of weakness to ask for help. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/MNP. That's BetterHelp.com/MANDP today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/MNP.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. You know, I listened to a lot of talk about realignment this weekend, and Maggie, this is not going to surprise you. People are upset.
Not you. You love it.
I don't love it, but I do think that I feel really bad for the schools that got left behind. But this idea that college football is going to lose something so crucial because of tradition, there's no tradition anymore. Tradition has fallen to the wayside. Everything is changing so fast. Right. And guess what? The sport is more popular than ever, making more money than ever. And there's no sign, even with these changes, yeah, it stinks for fans, certain fans, but overall, the sport's just going to print money and be more successful. And I think all this realignment, I think teams are going to land where they, not necessarily where they belong, but I think it's going to work out because I think you're going to see more moves that sort of even it out.
Well, it's going to become more like the haves and the have-nots. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, but there's almost all halves. I mean, the Big Ten has 18 teams. How many halves do you want?
Well, but here's the thing that I'm bummed about, and especially for the Pac-12, some of those teams that now we have Arizona State, and Utah all going to the Big 12, but who knows what the future of the Big 12 is really going to be. And obviously you had Colorado obviously joining the Big 12 also. And now with Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten.
Well, there's no tradition. Colorado's not a Pac-12 team. No. Traditionally, Utah's not a Pac-12 team. So there's no tradition there.
No. What I'm saying is basically some teams end up getting totally screwed because you had two bad conference commissioners in a row. And, that stinks for the Oregon States and for the Cals and Stanfords and Washington State because some of the schools ended up in a way better spot. And some ended up in a way worse spot. And so just because what the Big Ten commissioners happen to be better, more stable than, lower teams in the Big Ten, Northwestern, Rutgers, whatever, whoever you want to insert in there, now they get to basically be one of the halves, even though they may not have earned it either. It's just because there was bad leadership at the top, some of these teams get totally screwed, and that stinks.
What do Cal and Stanford need this for at all? What difference does it make to Stanford in the big picture, whether have and have-nots? Maybe they won't be a football powerhouse.
Media rights deals, lots of money from TV.
Stanford, do you think they could care less about that? That means that's Stanford is the Harvard of anything except Harvard. Is probably the second best college in the entire country. They dominate every sport except football. There's no reason that Stanford should have a 10-win football team, and I'm not surprised they don't anymore. Why are they good at football?
Why shouldn't they? They had Andrew Luck and they had David Shaw, and they were winning 10 games.
Because it doesn't mean
they were winning 10
because
games.
They don't care about football, and neither does Cal. Even cares even less about football.
Okay, but here's the thing. I could have plucked a student from Stanford who probably could have gotten a better deal for the Pac-12 than whatever the leadership got. You have all these smart kids and smart students and theoretically smart people, and they made these dumb moves. It's dumb, and now they're paying the price, and it's a shame.
I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think it ignores the inevitability of what was really happening in college football, which is all the power was getting focused on two conferences. I mean, it wasn't going to be where it wasn't going to be 5 even conference. There was no Big Five anymore. Pac-12, even if they'd kept USC and UCLA, it wasn't going to be in the Big Five. It was SEC and Big Ten are starting to completely dominate with the ACC hanging on for dear life. I don't think about it.
They just had a team in the championship game last year.
You're saying the Big 12 was going to compete with the powerful SEC and Big Ten moving forward?
I think they deserve to have automatic bids and stuff like that.
Why?
Because I don't think it's bad football. It's really offensive and innovative football. It's not bad.
Well, I mean, but what's a team? I mean, if they had anybody who's even sniffed a title, besides, I mean, Kansas State.
TCU last year was
but
literally
generally,
in the championship game.
Yeah, I mean,
they got destroyed in the championship game, but they beat Michigan on the way.
They were really good, but generally, though, once Oklahoma and Texas leave, you're not going to have a lot of real contenders there. I mean, like real powerhouses.
Okay, well, irony here is that Texas gets all this love. Meanwhile, they haven't sniffed a national championship. They're not even sending people to the pros. Barely. I mean, that might change now. They go to the SEC, but...
I mean, look at the Big 12. I mean, UCF, Cincinnati, BYU, Texas Tech... This sounds like the Mountain West Southern version. This is not SEC. This is not Alabama, Georgia.
Well, there's only one of those.
Yeah, and then now there's two of them because there's the Big Ten who's getting all these powerful teams too.
Okay, but just like the Big Ten is, it's top heavy. Where you have Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State, basically,
and USC.
And now
and
next
Washington
year,
and
USC.
Oregon.
Okay. And then you have the SEC where you have some that are, it's a little bit more evenly dispersed, but you still have some of the bottom feeders there.
Okay. I understand what you're saying. And you're right. The Pac-12 screwed this up royally. But in the long run, in 5 years, is college football going to be better or worse than it is now?
It depends on who you ask, because I think if you were just looking at, did certain schools really cash in and get a payday, then you'll say, okay, better. But if you're asking about teams and schools who lost regional rivalries and lost something there, then I think people would say worse.
That's been happening for 25 years.
I know, but Perloff, that doesn't mean people have to like it.
Well,
it
yeah,
doesn't
but
mean
college
people
football
have to sign off just because something that no fan asked for, which is conference realignment, all of a sudden became this huge land grab, money grab.
It absolutely is, but the truth is college football will persevere and be more popular than ever.
Well,
once
the
a playoff comes, yeah, the whole sport will be. I'm telling you, ratings are going to go up on a week-to-week basis. I firmly believe that because there are going to be better matchups. You're going to have more top 10 teams playing each other, which now rarely happens.
This is from Pete Thamel, of course, ESPN college football senior writer. He says, according to sources, in the next 24 hours, there's 2 calls for the ACC to vet and have exploratory discussions about adding Cal and Stanford. So one of the calls is for the ACC athletic directors, the others for the league's president and chancellors. Thamel says it's fluid for the 4 leftover Pac-12 schools. There's a myriad of options being discussed, and this is one of them. I mean, an Atlantic Pacific Conference? Sure, why the hell not? I mean, it doesn't matter anyway anymore, right? Regional rivalries, throw them out the window, so you might as well have Cal and Stanford be part of the ACC.
Yeah, I'm curious too, what does Florida State say to this? Do they use this somehow? I don't know how it works. Can they use this as a catapult to get out?
I don't know how they would use this to get out. If you're adding schools.
You add schools, I guess that implies that you're changing the charter or something. I mean, Florida State, obviously, last week, remember, it seems these stories are coming so fast and furious. Florida State wants out. So, I don't know. I feel like adding
Florida State wants out if they don't get more money, right?
Yeah, but they probably kind of want out, too. They just got J.P. Morgan on board. They probably want to be with the big boys.
So I think what the interesting thing about this is that, so the next 24 hours, there's calls for the ACC to vet Cal and Stanford, according to Thamel. Do you want to make a bet that they're in the ACC by the end of the week?
Yeah.
Because I was going to say by Wednesday, but you might need a few more lawyers. It's the middle of the summer.
When I think about Atlantic Coast, I think Cal Stanford.
Sure. Yeah. Sun never sets on the ACC.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I would
Perfect.
say.
The
one thing, though, it kind of weakens the ACC. Cal is not great. And Stanford's been on a downswing with David Shaw. So I don't know if you're trying to get a title contender out of the ACC. Does this do anything for you?
I mean,
it's great for Olympic sports.
Yeah, everything else.
Yeah, it's great for everything else. Swimming, they're going to be great.
This will be the conference for swimming, water polo, volleyball.
Sorry, I know we got to get this call, but can we all agree? You know what we really should be doing is separating football from all those other sports so those athletes don't have to travel. That is the number one thing that we should be doing because it's crazy. You covered volleyball a little bit.
Yep.
Like, do you need to fly a volleyball team from Washington to Purdue?
No, you do not. And listen, they have their NCAA tournament, so that's when you play, a few more random schools and stuff like that. No, of course you don't have to do that. 855-212-4CBS. Sean is our pal in Oregon, up first here on Maggie and Perloff. Hey, Sean, how are you?
Well, I've been better.
What's got you down?
Sad. Well, we're seeing all these regional rivalries going to go to the wayside.
Yep.
And college is regional. I'm not going to sit here and whine about people traveling. I mean, pro teams, baseball teams, they travel. Basketball teams travel everywhere. We don't complain about them. We all got start times 7 o'clock West Coast. Nobody complains about them watching the Blazer games at 10 o'clock at night. We don't really care about anybody back there. We all came out here generations ago. We detest that style. We detest the East Coast. We ain't ever going back there. We ain't going back to watch games or anything else. And I'm just bummed out. We're just totally bummed out. And, the snakes all turned on each other. The schools got into the sporting business, and then the snakes turned on each other.
Well, everyone's worried, Sean. Everyone's worried about being left out of these big money deals. And thank you so much for the call. And I get where Sean's coming from, but everyone's worried that, the TV networks now run college football, and they're worried, just like the 4 remaining teams in the Pac-12. They don't want to be without a deal.
It's funny. I still, to this day, I have no idea where that money even goes. When I hear $100 million, I don't know. I know when an NFL team makes $100 million, the owner gets it. Like, what does this money even mean? What is J.P. Morgan getting into Florida State, which hasn't passed yet, by the way? But I don't understand, why does you mentioned Cal or Stanford needs that money for what? Does it go to academics? No one even knows.
No, I thought it goes to the athletic department. Isn't this what funds everything in the athletic department? College football, they say, generally funds, or sometimes college basketball will fund a lot of the other teams. But I think some goes to academics. The non-revenue generating sports, right?
I think if you make $100 million off your football program, I think some goes to academics.
I never thought that, but maybe. I thought academics is kind of on their own with, tuition.
So who cares about funding the other teams? Why let them fund themselves?
Well, that's the thing. They're non-revenue generating teams.
Then why
so they go away.
Yeah, like
the tennis teams and rowing teams.
The tennis team and the rowing team are the 2 richest sports in America. Have alumni fund those.
I know, but I think you're saying that, but I think...
That's how it works in the Ivies. There's no money for a rowing team.
Okay, but not every... the Ivies are operating under a totally different
Anybody
model.
Who has a rowing team is operating under the same model.
It's not necessarily true.
Rowing, yes. Rowing is... There's no funds for rowing in athletic departments.
No, that's what I'm saying. The football team pays usually for rowing and tennis and lacrosse and all those other sports.
Oh, my God. Tennis, lacrosse. What, are we got to get golf and polo with horses in there?
Okay, well, who cares? Well, what other sport? So you want only football to be football? Sports
that fund themselves or sports that get alumni donations? No, I don't think football. I've never thought this. I don't think a linebacker for UCLA should be going out there and getting concussions so some rich kid can get his son on the water polo team for free. It's insane.
Okay,
it's always been an insane system.
Okay, so what about men's basketball? What about the ones who don't make who are either right on the cusp or not revenue generating?
Well, basketball is the other revenue generator, though. That generates a ton of revenue, the NCAA tournament.
And what about the women's basketball?
That has some revenue, too. The NCAA tournament is starting to generate some money there.
Okay, but not every program is going to be money-making.
So wait, you think football, I've always thought it was unfair. That the football, I think the players should get paid. I don't think they should be supporting other athletic programs.
Totally different conversation, though.
Well, how is it? When a Dr. Pepper ad goes on, a player is putting his life on the line, basically, for that Dr. Pepper ad, and that money goes to other programs. I don't think the football players are signing up for that. I don't think they care about those other teams.
Okay, but you realize that right now the schools don't pay the players. So in the future, when the schools, if they ever do pay the players, then we can talk about that. Well, but that's not how it works right now.
NIL kind of does now because it's become a booster program.
Sure. That's now.
Right, and that booster money, also presumably helps with other sports. Like if you're
That's why you have a collective, quote unquote.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think the whole system is crazy. Like with this money, I've always thought, okay, there's so much talk about money in college sports, and what is it really? Do people really know that it's funding these other programs, and that's why it's so important?
I think generally people did know that, but I thought generally people did know that football mostly funds the athletic department in many, many cases.
Yeah, I think a lot of the money goes to these old guys who run the bowl games. I think a lot of goes to administrators. A lot goes to coaches. I think there's a lot of this money I don't think it's nearly as clear as that.
Well, the coaches and the money they get paid with these buyouts sometimes is just insane. I mean, to pay $20 million or something for a coach to go away is always crazy to me.
It's sickening.
Paul is in Denver, has got a thought on this. Hi, Paul. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. So you guys, we were talking about, how football definitely stands alone, but these other teams, volleyball, swimming, whatever they would be, having to travel across country. One of the people are going to be hurt, too, is really like the fans, and not just the fans, but the parents that, have to travel with these kids or want to see their kids play. And now it's maybe in the West Coast they were traveling, but now they got to go back to New Jersey to go see them play against Rutgers.
Oh, it's crazy. It's totally, the family, the friends, anyone who wants to come watch them. Yeah, when it's regional rivalries, maybe you just get in the car and have to drive 3 or 4 hours, but to fly across the country is crazy.
And same with the students, too.
Yeah.
The students want to go see, if it's Colorado playing, TSU, no problems. If it's, Nebraska, but now they're not going to go down to go, all the way back to Ann Arbor to go see it. So it takes the fan out of the kids out of the game, too.
Paul, it's a great point. Thanks for making it. Appreciate it. Have a nice day. All of it. And, definitely the schools can't help with any of the parents traveling.
No.
That's a major no-no. 855-212-4CBS and has been. 855-212-4227. All right, so more up in the air with conference realignment. Let us know what you think. Phone lines are open at 855-212-4CBS. You can watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. The chat is wondering why you're wearing a Kevin Garnett sweatshirt today, Perloff. Is it Kevin Garnett?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a cool sweatshirt.
There you go. There's your answer, America.
Was there supposed to be, were they expecting like his birthday? That would have made sense.
Oh, is it Kevin Garnett's
He's
birthday?
not the best color guy in the business for nothing. No.
So we've got a lot more to do. Again, the craziest moment from this weekend. We'll get to that after this CBS Sports Update. Here is Rich Ackman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Insurance for motorcycles, boats, and RVs. For protection on the road and on the water, see how much you can save at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. The college landscape continues to change with a stunning breakdown of the Pac-12. ESPN reports the ACC will have a couple of calls to discuss the possibility of adding both Stanford and Cal. The Saints will be without Alvin Kamara the first 3 games, adding to an already thin backfield to the team, meeting with free agent Kareem Hunt about fortifying that spot. Texans right tackle Titus Howard will miss 4 to 6 weeks after suffering a broken hand. White Sox shortstop Tim Anderson suspended 6 games for inciting Saturday's brawl with the Guardians' Jose Ramirez, who gets a 3-game suspension. Emmanuel Clase also suspended 1 game, as well as managers Terry Francona and Pedro Grifol. The Dodgers have won the NL West 9 of the last 10 years and are en route to another division title. They have a 4-game lead in the NL West and are in San Diego, with that one getting underway shortly. I'm Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports is everywhere, at home, in your car, and of course on your phone and tablet. Find us on your local affiliate, SiriusXM Channel 158, or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Time to Ask the Pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question. Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. All right. Feel, Maggie, like there's still some anger out there over the Pac-12, as there should be. Give us a call, 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. And then after that, we got to get to this fight because it's so good.
I mean, there were multiple fights that happened this weekend.
The unsanctioned one.
Yeah.
Not the sanctioned one.
First, though, Mike is in Oregon, has an idea for college sports moving forward. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks.
Excellent. Yep.
So, does it make sense for sports that are not basketball and football, say tennis, badminton, whatever, I guess Olympic sport, to have a separate conference? It doesn't make sense to me to travel to Rutgers for some of these sports.
Yeah. I think you're right, Mike. And of all people, Rick Pitino tweeted about that over the weekend, and thank you for the phone call. Tweeted, why not just separate? He just said football. Maybe you could put basketball in there too. But why not separate those and then keep the regional rivalries? And he had a funny line. He's like, why should a volleyball team, spend half their time just looking for bad food to eat in an airport? Why do they have to travel so much just to play these games when you can get more out of having regional rivalries? I think even for football that would be the case, but I get where Patino's coming from.
Yeah, no, I mean, I hope they figure out some sort of system here. If the Big Ten's big enough, they can do an East and a West maybe and cut down the travel that way for the other sports. That'd be huge. By the way, whenever someone wants to say something negative about the Big Ten alignment, they always mention Rutgers.
I know.
Rutgers, can poor Rutgers just stay out of this? They never should have been in the Big Ten in the first place. We all know that. Right. But, you can pick on someone else, maybe say Purdue or Indiana. Just why Rutgers?
I don't know. It is like the low-hanging fruit. There's always one. When we talk about the SEC, it's always Vanderbilt. It's always the bottom of the...
Yeah, right. Perloff, you're guilty of this. You literally just brought up Rutgers when you compared them to the Atlanta Falcons. I mean, I feel like Rutgers is the brunt of every football joke.
Yeah, well, it was
because
really about...
Because the Falcons are getting no primetime games. Perloff called them the Rutgers of the NFL.
Yeah, I have a long-standing joke about the teams that always play on noon in football. Here's Maryland and Indiana kicking off at noon. As always. But Rutgers doesn't even make geographical sense. At least Vanderbilt's sort of stuck in the middle of those SEC schools. It's the worst. I feel bad for them. They should just be they should say, all right, we're good. We're out. We'll go back to whatever conference.
Are you crazy? They love the checks they're getting. And listen, again, Rutgers, they've been nice. They've invited me down to Rutgers. I've been an honorary coach at their spring game. They're running a great organization down there.
Wow.
Great school.
Got the McCourties. That counts for something.
Mohamed Sanu.
There you go.
But you're just playing Immaculate Grid with Mohamed Sanu the other day.
You're just as guilty about it. You said, and what are we going to have, Washington, Rutgers? You've said that 4 times.
That's because Northwestern is in the news for bad reasons. Usually they're my go-to.
But Northwestern they're UCLA with John Wooden compared to Rutgers.
Don't do it. Okay, did you miss this over the weekend? If you thought you were watching a baseball game, well, you got a side of boxing.
Another household double. Now Hosey and Anderson square off. They're fighting. They're swinging. Down goes Anderson. Down goes Anderson. They came up chewing. Anderson squared off. Hosey decked him.
Wow. Tom Hamilton on the Guardians radio network. I don't know if he's ever called a fight, but I mean, that was as good as Lampley.
He should if he hasn't.
He came up with that one right on the spot, and it was an unbelievable, shocking kind of fight. First of all, no one expected, I don't think, Perloff, all of a sudden for Tim Anderson, as Ramirez is sliding into second, for him to immediately go into the boxer stance. It was that escalated quickly, much more quickly than anyone thought.
We see lots of fights in sports, but he looked like Bud Crawford. It was unbelievable. His boxing stance immediately said, game on. You knew it was going to be a special fight when you saw Anderson get in that perfectly stance like he was ready. I thought he was going to win. If I had to bet on the two of them.
You were live betting?
Oh, I would have put all my money on Anderson.
Well, meanwhile, then Jose Ramirez basically starts wildly kind of flinging. It wasn't pretty in terms of his technique, but it sure was effective because he caught Tim Anderson basically on the chin. And as you heard, down goes Anderson. Now, my favorite part of this, and it's kind of visual, so I'll try to paint the picture, is the umpire who's at second base immediately comes between the two. And then when Tim Anderson assumes the boxer stance, this umpire then turned into Mills Lane and was like, all right, touch gloves. And just backed up like he was about to officiate a boxing match. He backpedaled so much, I just couldn't stop laughing. But we were wondering, where does this fight stack up against some all-time great fights? So is this better than Robin Ventura and Nolan Ryan?
Here's Ventura, RBI single in the first. Watch out. Look at this. Robin took exception to the pitch and went after Nolan Ryan.
Yeah, and Nolan Ryan dropped him.
Kind of like a dad beating up his 6-year-old son. Give him a little noogie on the head. That was a great one.
Was Ramirez versus Tim Anderson better than Kyle Farnsworth versus Paul Wilson?
Now Wilson and Farnsworth get into it. Oh, a takedown by Farnsworth, and a couple of haymakers landed. Whoa! And we've
So that was going back to 2003. Of course, it's the WWE now. Kyle Farnsworth, P.S., started playing like minor league football, like semi-pro football. Remember talking to him about it once in an interview, and I said, oh, well, he's a pitcher, so of course you'd be a quarterback now? He goes, no, I'm a linebacker.
Yeah.
Like, what?
If you watched it, this is the first time you've ever seen a pitcher charge the batter.
Yes.
He charged at Paul Wilson and did a, like...
Not pile drive, like a spear.
The spear.
Yeah.
A Goldberg spear and just knocked him out. It was awesome.
Wow.
Was Jose Ramirez versus Tim Anderson better than Jose Bautista against Rougned Odor?
Throws to second for one, Rudy to first, and Bautista goes after him, and Rudy pushes Bautista, and they're in a fight at second base. Rudy threw a couple of punches at Bautista, and the dugouts have emptied. This is a real Donnybrook. This is not just players standing around.
I mean, Bautista took a punch right in the face. To his credit, kind of stayed up a little bit, but it was an all-timer. I'll remember where I was.
His glass had been flying off.
It was my birthday. I remember that happening. Like, huh.
Do you guys think it's possible Tim Anderson took a dive in this fight? Because I'm looking at Ramirez's punch. How he generated any power. He was basically had his eyes closed and wildly swung. So I don't know if you could bet.
Fan of punch?
I just think it looks like Sonny Liston in 1968. This is weird.
Why would he take a dive?
I don't know.
Coming up, first college football coaches poll was released. What did they get dead wrong? We'll tell you next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
This is Maggie Gray with an Odyssey Sports Minute sponsored by Angie. It's easier than ever to get home projects done well. Get started at Angie.com. This is Maggie Gray with a CBS Sports Minute sponsored by Angie. It's easier than ever to get home projects done well. Get started at Angie.com. I'm putting this read in the book, by the way. I'm putting this read.
3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Oh, boy. There's a lot of jelly left. I thought she was making progress. There's a lot of jelly left.
See, I told you.
She needed to hear.
Fake lifelines that
Oh,
you
my
were
gosh.
giving me.
I think this is going to end up worse than the peanut butter challenge, and I was sick for 4 days.
Oh, no.
I'm like, my hands are shaking.
No, this is going...
This is all the
This is
sugar.
going terribly awry. Do you want to take a small break, and then maybe we assess your vitals?
I kind of want to just drink a little water and maybe stand up.
Why don't we
Maybe just start running out of the office.
Honestly.
Whoa.
Real talk here,
That was just
Real
a
talk
really
here.
big bite there.
Can we get some makeup? You look green.
Please don't tell me I need makeup.
That's mean.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Very first coaches poll was put out today, Perloff. Yet another little mini milestone that we're getting closer and closer to the start of the college football season. And there was one that was a little bit of a surprise to me. Georgia was number one. That's the least surprising thing. It would have been crazy if they were anything but one.
Well, they did lose their quarterback.
Right, but I think
And then they've put out an entire NFL team into the NFL the last 2 years. So I'm not sure they're the most... They're not the heaviest number one we've seen because they've had a lot of turnover.
They have, although I've been told over and over again that that's not going to matter.
I agree. It's not going to matter.
They have an easy schedule.
That's huge.
Right. So all those things added up to them being number one. Also, to be a two-time defending champ and not be number one on the coaches poll seems like that'd be a lot of disrespect. Anyway, number two in the poll is where I thought things got a little bit interesting.
Okay.
I was kind of surprised that Michigan got that high.
Why?
Because the way that they lost in the championship game, and actually, here's what it is. It's not semifinal game. It's not the fact that Michigan is fielding a good team or that, they do have their quarterback coming back. It's none of that stuff. I think Jim Harbaugh is so gone here. And that doesn't matter. That doesn't mean they can't be the second-ranked team in the country. But they are the preseason number two, and I don't even think Harbaugh, wants to be there. The last 2 seasons, he has tried to leave for the NFL, at least shown extreme interest. And these have been, 2 of the best seasons at Michigan since he took over. Beating Ohio State in both seasons and going to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
I don't understand why now he wants to leave, but if you and I were to make a bet, is Jim Harbaugh going to be coaching Michigan next season? I would say no shot. And if that Chargers job opens up, now that they've paid Justin Herbert, and if Brandon Staley doesn't have a good season, I could see Harbaugh getting that job.
It does seem, though, that the NFL is not calling on Harbaugh for some reason. They're bringing him into the building, but they're not offering him the job. So maybe the same thing will happen next year.
I don't know. I think if you want to get to the NFL that badly,
he's interviewed like crazy.
I know, but maybe you start changing your tune a little bit in interviews. Maybe you do start conceding a few things. Maybe if Jim Harbaugh wanted full control and wanted GM responsibilities too, or final say, or I have no idea what he's asking for. Maybe you ease up on that a little bit when you're not getting jobs.
I hear you. I mean, I think, well, one thing's going to happen this year. He's going to waltz into the Final Four. There's zero chance the Wolverines aren't in the Final Four. So he's going to have a successful season. He's got J.J. McCarthy back. He's got Blake Corum back and healthy. I thought they'd get looks at 1 because they were 2 last year, and everybody stayed, basically. I mean, they did lose some players to the pros, but this is his best shot ever. So I think he's going to – there's just – I mean, you look at the schedule, there's almost no way they're not in the Final Four. So once he gets another Final Four trip, his stock will be so high that I agree that he will get in the NFL, but there seems to be something about his personality and what he's asking for that doesn't sit right with existing teams. If you're a GM, you don't want Jim Harbaugh. That's the problem. So you have to have the right situation where everybody who's sort of cleaned house.
Okay, well, I could see the Chargers, everyone getting fired if things go poorly this year, and I could see the Raiders, everybody getting fired if things go poorly this year.
Isn't the Raiders guy... Oh, yeah, he's gone, Ziegler, yeah.
I mean, those are 2 places, and that's just
how long
two
has he
off the top of my head.
How long has Dave Ziegler been there? Wasn't Mayock there a couple years ago?
What does it matter? I mean, you know, there's no loyalty when it comes to the NFL. Now, Jeffrey Howell in the chat, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, says the best way for a good college football coach to get a raise is to hint at leaving. And I agree that Harbaugh, and I think he did employ this after, remember, Michigan asked him to take a pay cut, and he did that. And then I think he got that money back with the original flirtation with Minnesota. Do you remember when he was literally at the Vikings facility on signing day? I think that was about getting more money. Last year, I don't know if that was about getting more money. I think last year was like, all right, I'm really thinking about what's next for me and when I'm going to get back to the NFL.
Okay. All that being said, back to your original premise, does that matter?
It shouldn't matter. No. They can have a great team.
No.
That was just what stood out to me.
Well, will he be less engaged because of this?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he's still Jim Harbaugh. He's insane, you know.
Okay, yeah.
Eats, sleeps, drinks, like he's nuts.
That's a great point. So, yeah, I mean, this is really, if Michigan, here's the other thing for Harbaugh. If they can't do it this year, they're never doing it. Because not only do they have their quarterback back, everybody else's quarterback is gone. Alabama's quarterback gone. Georgia's quarterback gone. Ohio State's quarterback gone. So you look at the powers that be, the teams that can legitimately win the title. There's not a lot around. I think Michigan should storm through the season right here. They've been handling Ohio State. There's no reason to think they're not going to do it again. So they might go into the Final Four undefeated again, and then I guess it's anybody's bet. That TCU loss didn't kill me because that was a wild game.
It was a wild game.
Yeah.
What was your big takeaway from the coaches?
So that very TCU team, I think TCU at 16, and I understand why they're 16, I think they can move way ahead of that because of the very reason that they made the Final Four last year. They are better than these Big 12 teams. Now, listen, they lost Duggan.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But the guy, I'm sorry, I don't have his name right here. The guy, I think it's Chad Morris or something like that, who is at TCU, who was the original quarterback before Duggan got there. Morris got hurt. Duggan took over, so he's supposed to be better than him. He's a big recruit. And they brought in Kendall Briles, who was great at Arkansas. They should have a good offense. And I just don't think the Big 12 is great again this year. And I think they have a great chance to win a ton of games. So I thought 16 was a little low for that because they win 1 or 2 games. Now they have a little bit of cachet. You know, they were in the final game. So I think that it'll get a lot of respect from voters that they have a chance to get back into the picture this year. They remind me a little bit. Remember that great Butler team?
Yeah, of course.
Butler basketball. They're kind of like that. I mean, there's no other dominant team. Oklahoma and Texas, listen, I know that they're loaded, Texas specifically, but you said earlier in the show, do they ever deliver on that promise?
Well, I mean, listen, everyone's going to give Texas their best shot this year and Oklahoma, but that's just because I think they're ticked off that they're leaving to go to the SEC. But that's really funny. So do you think if you're going to use your Butler analogy, does that mean Sonny Dykes is actually going to go to the NFL? Because that's what Brad Stevens did with the Celtics.
That's also, thank you for bringing that up. He's a great coach, too. So I think that really helps them here. They have a tough game September 16th at Houston.
Yep.
If they could get past that, then it's really doable to go on another run.
I don't know. Last 3 games of the season, Texas, Baylor, at Oklahoma.
If they go into that, okay, you could probably get a loss out of that. But I think they're going to be favored at Texas at home. I mean, Texas, a lot of big names. They have some young quarterbacks there. I don't know. I'm not going to put all my money on
it. Could be in the Heisman race at that point.
Yeah.
Or Arch Manning could be starting. It could be either way.
Quinn Ewers, what's the big win he has in his college career?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
And how old is he? He's 20 years old anyway.
He cut the mullet, and everyone thought now he's, Peyton Manning.
I hear you.
Business.
I hear you. Where is Texas on that list? They're pretty high up too. I still think a team like TCU, for some reason, like they just seem like the kind of team that goes up. Where Texas is 12. So TCU is 16 and Texas is 12. I'll side bet TCU. I love Sark, so I don't want to do this. But TCU could climb higher than Texas.
Well, I'm not taking that bet. Definitely not. As the person who was the resident TCU believer last year.
You were.
Then there's no way that I'm going to jump off the Horned Frogs now.
Look at this Big 12 action. Texas is 12. TCU is 16. Kansas State is 17. I mean, they're always hanging around. Oklahoma, 19. Big 12. Then Texas Tech, 24. Maybe this is a major conference, Maggie. Maybe I'm not giving enough love.
Listen, this is Perloff slander against the Big 12.
Well, their first team on here is 12. So there's 11 better teams around the country. Yeah, it's called a 12-team playoff. That doesn't make me feel great.
Yeah, not even this year. It's still 4. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Samter, you look like you have something on your mind.
Just go back to Harbaugh. I mean, I know you think that he's gone, and maybe he is, but let's say he does stay. It feels like for the first time in a while, he has to win a title, right? Like to Perloff's point, there's no excuse.
This is it. Right? This is it for him.
This is the best team. He's got talent. He's got guys returning. Ohio State is vulnerable. They've won 2 straight. They've got momentum. He has to win a title, and if he doesn't. He exceeded expectations his first couple years in Ann Arbor. Then he fell short of expectations. Now he's there. He's number 2, and they have to at least not get embarrassed in the playoffs. If they're going to lose in the playoffs, they have to look formidable or at least competitive.
Well,
They've done nothing.
Their loss against TCU in the semifinal, while that was a crazy game, it only looked worse after Georgia dismantled TCU. After that game was over, it was like, wow, crazy game. But, hey. TCU was, that was an incredible performance. But then after Georgia smoked TCU, it made Michigan residually look bad.
By that associated property, though, Ohio State basically should have beaten Georgia, had them where they wanted. Ohio State couldn't even compete with Michigan in the second half. So that made Michigan look a little better. Here's the problem. Georgia just plays nobody and is going to walk into the Final Four. So they have to play this darn Georgia team again.
You know what's crazy? What Harbaugh, I think, was trying to do? Have you guys heard of, the Vegas exit?
No, I've heard of the Irish exit. What's the Vegas
exit? I've heard of that one. This is like when you walk out when people are clapping, So it's like while everyone's clapping and everyone's standing giving you an ovation, you don't stick around and do 2 more jokes. You leave.
Is that the Costanza?
Yeah, the Vegas exit. So I think Harbaugh was probably trying to pull that off last year. Like, hey, got the semifinal, lost in a crazy game. Beat Ohio State 2 years in a row, and that's how everyone will remember me. And meanwhile, the Denver Broncos decided to hire Sean Payton. So
I also think Harbaugh, I understand what you're saying, but Harbaugh did the math. He looked at Blake Corum coming back and said, ooh, I got a chance here. This would have been a hard team to walk away with because he didn't want to walk away from Michigan and watch someone else win the title. I don't think.
I mean, to come back, though, because your running back is coming back. I mean, he was hurt last year. Like, that could happen at any time.
But he's sick. And J.J. McCarthy looks like he could be really good. I don't know. It just sort of feels like everything is laying out perfectly for Michigan this particular year. And, there are real ties to Ann Arbor. His family's there. His dad is there. There are a lot of reasons he's stuck by there. It is weird that he keeps on interviewing.
Do you remember, though, but this was also the NCAA came down, hit him with recruiting violations.
Yeah.
He's got a suspension. I mean, it's a lot of this nonsense, too. Nonsense, probably, I'm assuming from his point of view, right? It's like middle of the pandemic, and you're going to ding me for a couple recruiting violations, like over some hamburgers, basically, and like buying food and having contact with guys when you're not supposed to. Meanwhile, the entire landscape of college football has been completely turned on its head in the year and a half since, 2 years since.
So 2 years ago, Michigan lost 34-11 in the Final Four to Georgia. Now, have they closed the gap in that time? How could Georgia lose 8 guys to the first round of the NFL draft 2 years in a row and still be amazing? I believe they will be, but I just don't understand where this well of talent is coming from.
I was the one who said, how can Georgia can't pull off this three-peat? You want to know why? Because no one's done it since the 1930s. And I was told, no, Maggie, you don't know. You don't understand. They're so good. They're just going to run it back, and they've got this great schedule. It's going to be so easy. I can't. For Georgia to pull off a three-peat, I think is all but impossible. Because if you could do it, I think you would have seen Alabama do it. And if you could do it, you would have seen USC do it. And you would have seen Florida State do it. And you would have seen Miami do it. And these great powerhouses who got close but never did it.
Well, listen, Georgia barely snuck through Ohio State this year. And really, I mean, Alabama was leading in the fourth quarter of the year before. So you're right. They've been very close games. This divisional sort of lineup does help them. And the schedule helps them. You have to admit, with 4 teams going to the playoff, it's going to be really hard for Georgia not to be one of them.
Listen, I watched them almost lose last year at, Mizzou? I mean,
but they could lose one and be just fine.
Well, but I don't know, because if your schedule is that light, if you will, if you lose one of these games, it could look really, really bad.
But I think a one-loss, 2-time defending champion, that's a strong argument. I just think the fact that they keep winning is going to give them an edge in the committee.
855-212-4CBS. Mike's in Ohio's got a thought on Michigan. I'm sure he does. Hi, Mike. How are you?
Yeah. Good. How are you guys?
Good.
Perloff, I just have a question. I want to know, where did this, found love you have of Michigan come from? Because it, came out of nowhere, and it's like... Dude, Harbaugh's coming back because of Blake Corum, and McCarthy might be okay. I don't know, I know that Michigan, since the year 2004, is 3-15 against Ohio State, and they've only won one national championship since the year of 1950.
For how many is Ohio State?
I don't know, 7 or 6.
Have they really won that many with Woody Hayes? They won 14. Well, listen, I'm also an Ohio State fan. I love Ryan Day. You know that. And Kyle McCord's from Philly, so let's not discount that. But you have to admit, even as an Ohio fan, if Michigan can't do it this year, when are they ever going to do it?
They won't. This is their only opportunity they have, because this is, like you said, the top 3 that are always in the playoff are all starting new quarterbacks this year, so they have no excuse. But you're talking about how you think it's going to happen. One national championship since 1950. I don't know, bro.
Oh, no.
Mike,
I hear what you're saying. I didn't say it was going to happen, by the way. No, I'm not picking
you
Michigan.
said if it's going to happen, it's going to happen this year.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
To be fair.
Yeah, I just look at the matchup against Georgia. If Michigan can have someone knock out the big SEC team, then they have a chance. It's hard. It's really hard to knock off the SEC. I mean, it's Alabama, LSU, Georgia. I mean, they're incredible.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Coming up, the one thing that made us stop dead in our tracks today. We'll get that to you in just moments. You want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Of course, you can listen to us on all of our amazing CBS Sports Radio affiliates, who we say hello to. The absolutely free to download Odyssey app is crystal clear. Take it with you wherever you go. And SiriusXM channel 158. Don't move. We're back in a moment.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. There was a lot going on this weekend, but the whole time I'm sitting there wondering how my friend Maggie Gray is doing. Because she went on an adventure this weekend, and I didn't want to ask you, I didn't want any details until we got in today.
Yeah.
Tell us, how was Sesame Place Amusement Park this weekend?
Yeah, with a 4-year-old. First time ever at an amusement park with a 4-year-old. I was going to text you last night, and I couldn't even lift the phone. I was so tired.
So you went Sunday?
So tired. I went Sunday.
That's a mistake.
We were there all day. We got into the park at 10:30. We left at 4.
10:30? Why so late?
We tried to get there right at 10 when it opens.
How could you not be there for opening of an amusement park? Is this, you really have never been to an amusement park. You have to get there for opening.
I don't know. We stopped to get a bagel on the way. I have no idea. My kid needed something to eat.
You are not ready for Disney, but go ahead.
I'm still tired today. My legs are killing me. We didn't even walk around the whole park. But what this experience taught me is that it is finally time for me to get Botox, because that took 5 years off my life. And I just don't have enough time left on this earth now. I might as well just bite the bullet and get the Botox. That's what I was thinking as I was 3 hours into this thing. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get Botox now. And I also think now we had a great time is the Cliff Notes. But I don't know how anyone does this. I don't know how you do this in Disney. It was so hot, and this is in Pennsylvania. How do people do this in the summer at Disney World? I have no idea why people aren't just passed out on the side, because there's no shade, and the water park part of it. It's like they keep you moving, so it's not like you're lounging by a pool here. You know, you can cool off for a second, but then you're right back in the heat.
God, you have no chance. First of all, you're outgunned and outmanned because this is the smallest amusement park on the East Coast. How would you do, Six Flags or anything like that?
I just don't think we're ever going to go.
And you didn't even go on the scary rides, like the big drops.
My 4-year-old didn't want to go on them, so
this is going to
do it.
You're way outmanned here. There's no way you're going to be able to handle real parks. If you can't do Sesame Place with one 4-year-old.
No, it was me and my mom. We're both with them, and my mom held up great, and my 4-year-old held up great until the very end. So we did all the things. We did the kids' Cookie Monster part. We did all the Lazy River, which he loved. We did that a couple times. And so at the very end, we eat ice cream, the whole thing. At the very end, I look at him and he's dead tired. You know when you can tell your kid is just like flushed and they're tired. You've like reapplied 15 things of sunscreen on them and they've just eaten and drank everything and they're just dead tired. I'm like, all right, now it's time to meet Elmo.
Yeah, fun.
Worst bleeping idea. I wish I could curse. I can't. Worst bleeping idea. Elmo came out. You know what? This is going to be in the therapy bill later on. My kid ran like we were taking heavy fire. He saw Elmo and ran the other way. I mean, it might as well have been the boogeyman. And we love Elmo. And
Are you sure you love Elmo? It doesn't sound like he loves Elmo. How big is this Elmo?
And he wasn't even that big.
7 feet tall?
Maybe it was like a college mascot size, you know? Not crazy. And no way. Just no. I mean, screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was like we really just didn't nail the dismount. We had such a good day. And then Elmo at the end was just like, it was like fighting Mike Tyson at the end, but you just get a real swift knockout.
It's like meeting your hero in real life. It never lives up to the expectations.
Should never meet your heroes,
Never
they say.
meet your heroes.
Never. And I broke my own rule. And,
why did you maybe should have picked a different mascot? Maybe somebody a little user-friendly like Abby.
No, because Rosita was there too, and he hated that.
Rosita's pretty big. I understand. Rosita
he hated this.
Scares me a little bit.
So long story short, we're never going back.
So what... I haven't been in a few. My kids are now 11 and 12. They kind of aged out of Sesame Place.
Yeah.
What percentage of the lazy river is now urine? Because it was at least 65 when I was there.
It's up. It's about an 85% urine to urine ratio. My kid contributed mightily to that.
That's how they keep the thing flowing around.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
it's everyone's pee.
Water parks are generally gross. Sesame Place is water park because there's so many young kids. It's particularly gross.
A lot of Band-Aids, a lot of hair.
Did you stand under that thing where they dump the gigantic tank of water on your head? Most water parks have that now. It goes 3, 2, 1, and it's just like
we wouldn't go anywhere
near
that. Nope, kid wouldn't go anywhere near that. He was generally put off by most things, but we still did have a very good time.
How about? Did you go on any rides that went around in a circle real fast, like when you get on that swing and it whirls around really fast?
Wouldn't do it. Kid wouldn't do it. I think I just took him. I think he's a little too young.
Too young. Okay.
It's a little young.
Now, how are you on ride? Are you ready for the next phase when he's ready for roller coasters?
No, I hate him too. So the apple didn't fall far from the tree. So that's going to have to be Dad whenever he's ready for it.
The one crazy thing is I used to love roller coasters, and I still do. Like, roller coasters was my thing. I can do every day, every week, you're reading of another roller coaster accident or a broken thing.
Wait, what?
Wait, really?
Yeah, there's some 6-year-old got flung off of a roller coaster.
Oh my gosh!
It got hurt. Then there was the other roller coaster that had the crack in it that they videoed, and you can see the actual pillars moving.
What do you have a Google alert on this? Like Perloff does for the shark attack?
Every single week, there's another roller coaster or theme park disaster. It's scaring me. I may never go on a ride again.
So my stupid kids, one of them lives for roller coasters, and her favorite roller coaster is Coney Island.
Funny.
What's the thing, Mike? You've probably done it. The one at Coney Island.
The all-wooden one.
The Cyclone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that thing was built in like 1918.
Yeah, and there's nothing.
But they don't build them like they used to. I would trust that over the new stuff.
Yeah, she likes it. And the other thing she likes is surfing. And you know how I'm terrified of sharks. Can't you do something where people are not getting eaten or flung anywhere? By the way, I hate that. The 6-year-old was flung off the roller coaster.
The reports early on were that it was touch and go, but not. We don't know yet. We don't know yet.
Oh, my gosh.
What the? Way to ruin a good summer. Well,
Sam didn't do anything. It's not his fault.
No,
but you want to know what? When people
I
get
used
stuck,
to never be afraid of roller coasters. Now I don't think I'll ever go near one again.
When people get stuck upside down, no.
That was another story. For like 45 minutes, people were upside down in one of those loop-de-loop things. They had to climb up there, and they're hanging upside down. First of all, think about the blood going to your head.
What? I'd be worried about that.
Yeah.
You've never seen that before?
This was like 2 weeks ago at another theme park. This is my nightmare.
No.
I think that you could have. I don't know. I can't imagine that's good for your body. Maybe it's fine. Maybe you just go right side up again, and then you're all good. But I can't imagine that's good.
I think I almost had an accident as a kid. We went to Disney World, and it's Space Mountain, the famous ride.
Sure.
We were at Space Mountain, and my little brother, who was 4, was in my lap, and he flew up in the air, and his seatbelt was barely on, and I had to grab him. I had to grab him.
It's dark in there.
Yeah. Like gravity took him one way, and the car went another way, and I had to grab him and pull him back. And I was wondering if I didn't grab him, he might have just flung off into Space Mountain.
Well, that was probably what, the 80s? I mean, were there barely seatbelts in the 80s?
Yeah, no, it was definitely the 80s. I mean, the attendant was smoking a cigarette, so that gives you any idea what age.
You know, I feel bad for saying this because I did not point it out at the time, but I thought about it. It's the lazy river, so like nothing bad's going to happen. Every kid's in a life vest, all that stuff.
Yeah, the lazy river is nothing.
But one of the lifeguards was sleeping.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
You should see.
It was like the head nod, and like the person is like when they sleep on an airplane and like their head's going down and go back up.
There's
I know.
Mike and I like the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. There's an episode just about water parks, and there's a kid, just a dead body floating at the bottom of a slide the entire episode. And the guards are just reading their magazines, staring at the kid off at it.
So bad.
And they all this is your worst nightmare. They all get jammed into one tube. They go down a tube. And one of the characters has this thing where she can tell if there's any urine in the water.
Yeah.
And she's like, my strip just turned blue. And Mac's like, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
And she's like, you're whizzing on my shoulder. Anyway, they're all stuck in this tube for about a half hour. It's very funny because there are all sorts of possible mishaps.
Well, my kid was like, we're going by, and he goes, hi, lifeguard. I'm like, she's asleep. I'm sorry to tell you that. She's dead asleep.
Oh, man,
anyway.
Maggie, it's just going to get worse. I had to do this vanishing point ride, which is now the most popular kind of ride at a water park. You know what those are? Where you're standing there and the floor disappears and you go straight down for 50 yards.
Not happening.
You ever done that, Mike? No. That is insane.
No. I'm kind of glad, actually, my kid's doesn't appear to be a roller coaster kid. Oh. So I feel like I've dodged a big one here.
The scariest one for me was actually a water park thing where you stand like in this little capsule, and then out of nowhere, someone's like, okay, 3, 2, 1. And then before they actually get to 1, they hit a button and the floor comes out from underneath you and just drop down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, thank you.
No.
Yeah, it's not good.
Let's get to a Cowboys quickie. Bum, bum. Bum, bum. Can we sing it? Bum, bum.
Yeehaw.
No? Nah.
That's all right.
It's okay.
What's going on with the Cowboys?
There we go.
There we go.
All right. Cowboy quickie for you. Couple things. Number 1, Dak Prescott. Talking about the offense and feeling really, really good about it. Now, that's not really going to be news, but we've been talking so much about how this is really going to be a running offense. Dak Prescott says, quote, sees a world of difference in the Cowboys offense this year. Now, he said a crazy amount of details. Guys are on the same page, just being very open and communicating. That's been a world of difference. Now, we were told last week that this is the simplest Cowboys offense that Dak has ever run. So now it's all about a crazy amount of details. Last week it was simple.
Wait, no. First it was CeeDee Lamb saying that Dak is doing more at the line of scrimmage than any quarterback's ever done, followed by his coach saying we're set up so Dak has nothing to do with the line of scrimmage, followed now by Dak is back to doing everything. What's going on here?
They said it's a very aggressive nature, but it's aggressive in play calls with a great purpose. Now that's the shade towards Kellen Moore. Not just aggressive for aggressive's sake, but aggressive with a purpose.
You know what's going to happen. After all this hype, they're basically going to come out and run the same exact offense as last year. It's like literally play by play. They're going to be 12-5 for the third year in a row. It's going to be the same Cowboys, and that's not that bad.
No, that's your Cowboys quickie. There you go.
Also, they're talking extension with Dak.
I know you saw that they're back at the table.
Jeff Howe said that they're talking again. The issue is Dak will cost $60 million against the cap next year when they have to sign Micah Parsons. So they're doing a lot of contracts, none for Zach Martin. It would make sense if they were committed to Dak at all to sign him now to make the cap all work out. But that's a big question mark. You know, the other thing is move on from Dak if they don't win this year.
I can't imagine they would move on, and that's simply because where do you go logically?
Yeah, I don't know.
They're going to win games. It's not going to be a terrible season unless something, unforeseen really happens, like a Dak injury. But that would be a whole different category. Yeah. So you're not going to be in a good enough position to draft high in the draft. You're probably not going to want to have to trade up. It's going to cost you everything. And then who are you going to replace Dak with that's going to be marginally better?
I have no idea. Maybe like an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, somebody at the end of their career shaking loose. I don't really see that player. So I'm not sure.
Matthew Stafford? with a spine injury?
Well,
I don't know about that.
Listen, Aaron Rodgers seems to love New York, but if he followed the Favre trajectory, he'd be on a new team next year. I doubt that's going to happen. You're right. No, I think they should re-sign Dak. But they haven't yet. So, and it'd be, according to the report by Jeff Howe, longtime Boston reporter, it'd be $50 million plus a year. So that's a lot of money.
That's the going rate for quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly. That's the issue. If Daniel Jones can get 42, I don't feel awful about 50 for Dak.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Well, now that we're never going to go to another theme park ever again, I'm glad we got that straightened out.
Yeah, that was depressing. But that being said, you said it was a great day.
It actually was a great day. And whoever, whatever family member would like to take my kid to Disney World eventually, they are welcome to do that because there's no chance I'm going.
Isn't it funny? We complain as parents, but when you look back on childhood, that's like those are the moments you remember.
Yeah, I know.
I remember the rides, and I remember with my kids, just going through that with your kids is special. In 10 years, you're going to be, remember the first time we went to Sesame Place? Wasn't that special? You're going to forget all the bad stuff.
No. It was very good, but I did look at my mom at one point when we were like 6 hours in. I'm like, probably just could have gone to the town pool and gotten an ice cream, and he would have been just as happy.
By the way, there's one person missing from this equation.
Yeah. Oh, my husband got out of it.
How?
Well, because my mom asked if she could go.
My
mom wanted to go to Sesame Place and wanted to go, and to have 3 adults with 1 kid, that makes no sense.
Oh, it sure does. That's a better ratio. I can't believe it.
I know.
Andy got out of this. It's unbelievable.
Out of it. He stayed home. He did some of the grocery shopping. Did some
sat
of the
in
other
the air conditioning and watched Netflix. You let him do this? He owes you one.
Oh, he was good.
I must not be at that point. Obviously I'm not at that point yet, but I would have wanted to be the one going.
I think he did too, but my mom really wanted to go. So my husband was like, "That's fine. It's August 5th. You can go." No, I think maybe my husband felt a little bad about missing out on it. So you know what? He can take him the next time, and I'll stay home.
No, you're going to have to go. It's got to be at least 2-on-1.
Just as long as we never see Elmo ever again.
You're pretty close. Good. You could probably buy a season pass.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. Also, can they fix the bathrooms in that place? 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Clean them up every once in a while.
Yeah. Now you're asking for way too much.
A little too much to ask? All right, I thought so. Okay, a lot more to do coming up. We do have a moment that we need to get to from this weekend. Touching, really, and one that we cannot let go. You're going to want to hear it. Don't move. 855-212-4CBS. Your theme park escapades. We'll take them. 855-212-4227. We do that all after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Rich Ackerman.
Sports Flash.
Well, USC and UCLA sparked the exodus from the Pac-12, and many others followed their lead. Cal and Stanford could be on the move next, heading east. ESPN reports the ACC will hold a call to discuss the possibility of adding the 2 Northern California schools. The Saints are thin at running back due to injury and suspension, and free agent Kareem Hunt will meet with them regarding potentially filling that void. The Texans will be without Titus Howard for 4 to 6 weeks. The right tackle had just signed a $56 million extension, suffered a broken hand. Disciplinary action has come down for Saturday's brawl between the White Sox and Guardians. Tim Anderson and Jose Ramirez, the main combatants, got the biggest penalties. The Sox shortstop suspended 6 games. Ramirez got only 3. Plus, both managers, Terry Francona and Pedro Grifol, were each suspended a game, as well as Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase. Right now, the Dodgers and Padres are underway in San Diego and scoreless in the bottom half of the second. The red-hot Cubs, winners of 15 of 19, are in New York to face a Mets team that has lost 6 in a row. The Reds have also dropped their last 6 and will host the Marlins tonight. I'm Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio is everywhere, at home, in your car, and of course on your phone and tablet. Find us on your local affiliate, Sirius XM Channel 158, or the free Odyssey app.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff on this Monday. A lot to get into. So to the story of my kid met Elmo this weekend. Might as well have been Freddy Krueger. That was rough. Get to Alex in Pennsylvania. Wants to talk about college football realignment with the ACC having meetings about Cal and Stanford. Hey, Alex, how are you?
Hi, good. How are yourself? Thanks for taking my call.
You got it.
So first off, when I'm thinking about conference realignment, on the surface, I would say like maybe the first domino would have been, Nebraska and Colorado leaving the Big 12 for the Big 10 and the Pac-12 respectively.
Yeah.
But I would actually I think the bigger thing, though, was the inaugural college football playoff season because it was all hyped up about, hey, finally we'll find like the true champion, right? And and again, this is flawed because they ended up winning, but still put Ohio State in over TCU for that fourth and final spot. And if you remember, Ohio State's loss was by 2 touchdowns to unranked Virginia Tech at home. TCU, their loss was to I think they ended up number 6 at the end of the year, Baylor, in the shootout.
It was the first time that basically the committee was like, all right, this is going to be a huge challenge for Big 12 and Pac-12 teams to crack the floor. Yeah.
Well, it was the first 4.
The first 4, but I'm saying that was, and then the trend was kind of set.
But by the way, I mean, you can't, that Ohio State team, that's like one of the great teams in college football history. So I understand. I mean, they just rolled everybody.
I mean, I would disagree simply because he lost by 2 touchdowns to an unranked Virginia Tech team at home.
Right.
It's not like a 2001 Miami, Yeah. I would argue that their 2019 Ohio State team was better than their 2014 team, but they would have ran into that buzz. I know that controversial call against Clemson, but that would have been an interesting game against that buzzsaw that was, 2019 LSU. So I just wanted to point out that that's when we got the sense that it was more, hey, this is like a money thing.
Yeah.
Ohio State was a bigger brand than TCU, right?
Well,
and I have no doubt that was a primary factor.
And Alex, the other thing and how you knew it was about the money, and thank you so much for the phone call and appreciate it, is because it was done with no regard for basketball whatsoever. So there was like no even thought like, hey, we can just move all these conferences. We can just completely break up the Big East. We can put Syracuse in the ACC. We can do whatever we want because it's all about football anyway. And that was the first inclination. It was about money. And the second was everything that's happened every day since.
And really every day before as well.
Well, yes.
That Ohio State team, just let me
I know, but Perloff, you and I did our greatest college football teams of all time. And we did not even...
Because we were looking at undefeated teams. But as far as talent on the team, I mean, there's very few that can match this team. They had, there's so many pros on the defense was all pros. Darren Lee, Von Bell, Joey Bosa, Raekwon McMillan, Eli Apple. I mean, it's all first-round picks. But then the offense, because of that Urban Meyer's system was just rolling people. They had JT Barrett was the quarterback most of the season. Then they got, I think Braxton Miller was in that, and Cardale Jones came in, and Ezekiel Elliott, and Michael Thomas, and Devin Smith. And, I mean, it's just Jeff Hoyerman's their tight end. That was a great team. So it's hard to... I think they got it right that year. No, that year was always fascinating to me because I was a big advocate. I'm like, TCU deserves to get in. And then I saw Ohio State in the Final Four. Like, are we overestimating these lesser conferences?
I mean,
did Kansas State deserve to get in last year over Alabama?
Well, I mean, Kansas State ended up having first-round draft pick. I mean, I don't know.
No, not Kansas. I'm sorry, TCU. Did TCU deserve... Were they really the rightful team to be in that Final Four? Probably.
I think so. I mean, listen, I know that they ended up losing in the Big 12 title game, right, to Kansas State. But I still think they deserve to be in, you know? And I don't want to hindsight this thing. And I know Nick Saban was, you know, really thought that Alabama should have been. Of course he did.
Well, yeah.
But I think they did get it right. It was just unfortunate that to get past Michigan in the semifinal and then to fall flat against Georgia. But, you know, that's just, it's playing the result. I think the process was right.
Okay, here's the hard question. If in 3 years the alignment is done, the conference is all settled, you have a massive SEC and massive Big Ten, bigger ACC, do you definitely get Big 12 an automatic bid to the Final 12?
Definitely. Especially for 12, for sure.
So you give 4 automatic bids out? Is that how you do it?
Yeah,
there's no Pac-12 in this formula.
There's no Pac-12 anymore.
Yeah.
There's 4 teams left, and it looks like 2 of them are probably going to the ACC. So I think you have 4 automatic bids.
I agree, except that you looked at this year's coaches poll, the first Big 12 team we saw was number 12, Texas. So what if there are 12 better teams that are not in the Big 12?
Well, I don't think that's going to be the case next year. We don't have to think about that this year. We think about it next year.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a top 12 team in the preseason poll from the Big 12 next year. I think it's going to be even worse. You're not going to have Texas and Oklahoma.
Okay, well, the preseason poll, you're not giving out things. You're not giving out awards on the preseason poll, you know?
I'm just saying there's a lot of power.
Where are we at the end of the year?
I'm saying a lot of power is going to the Big Ten and the SECs. I mean, the Big Ten, it's just added a lot of talent, a lot of money. So they're really going to dominate this 12-team playoff.
Man, I think this USC-Cal thing is going to be done by the end of the week. I really do.
Stanford.
Excuse me, Stanford-Cal. USC's already gone with UCLA to the Big Ten. Well, this was a bummer on Sunday morning. If you were watching it, I'm not sure. But I to be honest, I didn't watch a lot of this game. I end up watching the entire penalty kick situation on YouTube afterwards. That was one of the most gut-wrenching losses. The U.S. women's national team losing in the knockout round of the World Cup, Perloff. They had a lead in penalty kicks, ended up missing 3 penalty kicks. How do you miss 3 penalty kicks and they lost to Sweden? They were ahead. I've just never seen anything like it.
Yeah, it was a bummer. I think there was something that seemed to be off with the team all year, you know, the whole tournament, just from the beginning, that they weren't quite as dominant.
Yeah, they scored 1 goal.
Well, 3.
No, in regulation.
They scored 3 on Vietnam, right, in the first match, 3-0, I think.
Or was it 3, and then the last
then they didn't score
3
again.
Matches was 1. They won 1 against Netherlands.
Okay, right. Yeah, I mean, it was, remember they went up 13-0 against Thailand and drew all that criticism?
Yeah, you can't have it both ways, right?
Now we understand why, because I was lectured all weekend long about, well, if they had just dominated, they wouldn't have been the number 2 seed, and they would have had a much easier draw, and they would have avoided Sweden, they would have avoided Japan. Anyway, so I find this very disappointing as more of a casual fan, because I thought this was in the bag coming into the tournament.
Apparently they did too.
Right. I never thought that this was going to be a thing, that they were going to go out early. It just didn't even cross my sports. I woke up on Sunday morning. I'm like, wait, what just happened? I don't know if your reaction was, if you had followed it closely and knew that there were some cracks in the armor, but I was so shocked.
Well, Carly Lloyd was basically calling it out on Fox. Yeah. She's like, they look unorganized. The coach isn't making the necessary adjustments. And I mean, to lose like that, and I feel bad for Alyssa Nair, the goalie, because that was an unbelievable save.
Yeah.
And instead, in penalty kicks, if you didn't watch it, she basically goes Matrix on this thing. she initially stops the ball, and then in midair, basically the ball goes just by a millimeter into the goal, never lands on the ground, and she bats it away again, but it counts as a goal. And it was all because of this goal line technology that they have. And I think our big question is, when is that going to get to the NFL? Because while it was gut-wrenching to watch the women lose, I was never mad at the officials when this crazy, when the call came down that the goal was going to stand and the U.S. lost.
You weren't mad at the officials, but it does lose a little bit of the drama. You have this great goal, and you have to stand around for 45 seconds. So what if there's a dramatic last-second touchdown in the Super Bowl, and everyone's standing around for 45 seconds?
It's even bigger drama, I
It's drama, but it's not like Kirk Gibson hitting the home run. Like, you need the actual spontaneity of the call and touchdown, and everyone celebrates. You don't want to sit around, right?
No, I mean, you got to get it right, though. See, people complain about the NFL officiating to go as far as people think the games are fixed and that the referees are so awful. If you just took it out of their hands and could get as much technology into these calls as possible, I think it's better for the league.
I agree with that. But if you're talking about a last-second goal or a game-winning goal, you want the goal, rip off the shirt, and, Julie Foudy. Like, you want the dramatic moment.
Chastain.
Or whatever. Yeah. Sorry.
Soccer fan that you are, Perloff.
Yeah. I told you I was a casual. But I do think that the sitting around and looking at your watch for 30 seconds, that was not the way they wanted to happen.
Bring this stuff to the NFL as soon as humanly possible, please. All right, who's going to be coaching for their job this NFL season? We've got that. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Howell in the chat says, got a little advice for me. Maggie, for your 40-yard dash at next year's draft, have someone attach a bag of gummies to a stick like they do at a dog track. See, that implies that I needed some kind of motivation. The motivation was to not embarrass myself, which I'm pretty sure I did. I had like a Fred Flintstone kind of wind up where I was like, like my feet were going, and then I took off.
Yeah.
Like
you were
fast feet.
Next year, maybe can we get you a coach or something? Somebody tell you how to get out of the blocks.
How about just like a pair of shorts?
Some sneakers, maybe.
I gotta plan a little better for this thing.
The upright running style, you have so much wind resistance.
I told you, I'm taller than people think, so that's a whole 5'8". I'm like a parachute out there.
They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome into the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff on this Monday. Got a lot going on. Glad to be with you on CBS Sports Radio. So we're all kind of waiting to see what's the latest going to be with Joe Burrow. So he's now like wearing some protective sleeve, Perloff, on the entire leg after he strained his calf in what was a scary looking non-contact injury in training camp last week.
So I actually haven't seen him. Is he at camp walking around? Is he
no crutches, nothing like that.
But not doing anything, really.
Not doing anything. And if it was up to his teammate, Jamar Chase, he wouldn't be doing anything for a long time. So here's Jamar Chase over the weekend on NFL Network saying Joe Burrow should sit out week 1 and longer.
I told him, with all honesty, I don't want him there.
You don't want him to play week 1?
Same thing with me and my last year.
You want him week 20.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And I set out an extra game just to let my hip all the way heal up. And, you don't want to cause no other problems later on in the season. I told him, as long as you're there after week 5 and on, we're good, brother.
As long as you're there after week 5 and on. Now, it's kind of shocking to hear that, but Chase isn't all the way wrong here. Now, the urgency for Burrow to want to come back is because the Bengals are one of those teams that plays 2 division rivals right out of the gate. So they open at Cleveland, and then they play Baltimore the next week. And if the AFC North is going to be as tight as we all expect it to be, then sitting out those 2 games and potentially losing those 2 games is really going to hurt them.
Yeah, but I understand in theory what Jamar Chase is saying.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he's speaking with confidence that we can be good enough to get in without that. Here's the problem. Look at their schedule. They have a bye week after week 6. Then they have at San Francisco and Buffalo. That's not what you want to come back to. Maybe Joe Burrow does want to play Buffalo. That's in Cincinnati. Sure, it seemed pretty good against them last year.
Yeah,
that's not a dig. I'm just stating facts here. Just stating facts. But at San Francisco is... assuming everyone in San Francisco is healthy, avoid that game. Put in Trevor Siemian for that game. But
let him take those.
What I'm really confused about, too, is Trevor Siemian does have a lot of starts in the NFL. I don't understand why a team like the Bengals isn't going after Carson Wentz or trying to do something high-end backup because, like you said, it's kind of a fine line in the AFC North. You can't afford to lose any games. Feels like Trevor Siemian is a bit thin.
Well, they might not think that Carson Wentz is going to win them games. I mean,
yeah, but he's a backup.
Wentz last year.
But he's a backup. I mean, yeah, but he was in Washington. He was really good 2 years ago. I mean, he's at least a low-end starter, high-end backup. He's definitely a high-end backup. Would you at least agree with that?
Yeah. Maybe they're worried about the locker room. I don't know. If I'm the Bengals,
can they be worried about the locker room with a guy who signs in August?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't be. Well, you're worried maybe about him not being a culture fit.
That is irrelevant. He's coming in as a backup quarterback. They can't possibly have any impact on the... Is he that bad a guy? I don't understand. I understand he shot a bear recently and he turned the radio station in the weight room in Philadelphia. He can't possibly be that bad a guy at backup quarterback, is he?
Well, if he wasn't that... I don't know if it's that he's a bad guy. I have no idea. But he obviously has no takers. Maybe the price is too high, but I doubt that because if he really wants to play, he's already signed a big contract. So he's got some money in the bank in theory and could play just to keep his career alive.
Yeah. Well, he's clearly good enough to be a backup. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to argue. Even last year, he had 11 touchdowns and 9 picks for an awful Washington team. So it's got to be, you're right, it's either got to be personality fit or money. But Cincinnati's such a strong culture because of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. They always seem like they're on the same page. Can Carson Wentz really come in there and blow that up as a backup quarterback?
Maybe they think Simeon's fine and they have another quarterback who's taking some snaps also. But we saw some footage of Carson Wentz from over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
This intrigued you.
Oh, my God. I love it.
We've put Carson Wentz to bed on this show. I mean, we had a big poster of Carson Wentz as a former Sports Illustrated cover. We got 1,000 new YouTube subscribers. We had people donating or people subscribing. We donated to charities where Carson Wentz played, and then we destroyed the Wentz poster live on the air. We're done with Wentz on this show. I could care less
we're not. We're not.
Over my dead body because we have exorcised Wentz's demons from this entire studio.
So he worked out this weekend in some unusual decision, wearing an Eagles helmet, I think a Commanders jersey, and Colts shorts. The last 3 teams he's played on.
Like Frankenstein, yeah.
That's the 3 clubs that we gave. Oh, actually, 2 of the 3 boys and girls clubs that we donated to.
Yeah.
It is I think he was inspired by the Maggie and Perloff effort to destroy the poster. I think that was an homage to our show, and I think we need to blow up that photo and put it right where the Carson Wentz poster was.
I'm right there with you.
First of all, violation and violation, because the Carson corner, which, by the way, not much of a corner you guys got going on there, was only other Carsons beyond Wentz. You guys said Carson Daly and Carson Palmer and all these other Carsons. Wentz was always a no.
Well, I don't know who set that rule. This picture is so classic of him wearing 3. It's one of the funniest NFL pictures I've ever seen. What was he thinking? What was the idea here? Who goes out and works out in an Eagles helmet after the Eagles unceremoniously got rid of you?
I didn't know you could keep the helmet. I thought you had to give all that stuff back.
I think he probably went to Dick's Sporting Goods and bought it. I don't think that he could keep it. Well, actually, I guess you could keep game used. Did he use like a game used helmet?
I guess you get to keep them. I mean, is it your property? It's the team's property, no? I have no idea. I don't know who the memorabilia belongs to.
I don't know.
I think you get to keep some of it.
Yeah, I think it's a case-by-case
Keep your
basis.
Jerseys.
Maybe like one helmet, because I'm sure they have like 6 or 7 helmets.
I bet they made him pay for it.
Yeah, like the Cowboys make you pay for it, right? I've heard Ross Tucker talk about this all the time. Like certain teams give you the jersey, some you have to pay for it. But I think Carson Wentz was a starting quarterback, got them to a Super Bowl, basically. They could have given the dude one helmet.
Well, all right, so he's got one helmet, but this is not what we agreed upon. There's no more Carson Wentz. You can have the other Carsons if you want to. Wentz is gone from this studio.
This isn't Carson Wentz. This is Carson Wentz's monster.
Yeah, no.
By the way, you never said anything. You never ever said anything, Maggie, about if Carson Wentz showed up to a random practice wearing an Eagles helmet, Commanders jersey, and Colts shorts.
No.
You never specified that was not worth taking a photo of and blowing
Colts
up.
helmet, Eagles jersey, and Commanders shorts, but she did not say the current actual iteration.
Yeah, you guys are going to try to catch me on a technicality here. The only agreement was that if we did not get to the 1,000 YouTube subscribers, then you were going to bring in another Carson poster to double down. But we did, and not only that, we surpassed the 1,000 subscribers we were hoping to get.
By the way, I only saw still photos of the workout. Carson looks amazing. He's in great shape. He's got these funny arm angles. He looks like Mahomes.
In those still photos?
And also, the dude has huge tattoos. I did not think Carson Wentz was a tattoo guy.
Now that makes you like him more.
The fact that he wore these 3 uniforms, I don't know if it makes me like him, but I have a new understanding of Carson Wentz. He might be a really random dude. Just crazy random. I don't think? Yeah. Honestly, I understand the negative reports in Philadelphia, but it wasn't obvious that he was a problem because he was very, very popular and very successful, and then it went south really quickly.
Yeah, well, I always thought that it was the 2 situations, not, always having to live with the fact that Nick Foles won the Super Bowl for the Eagles, and then they drafted Jalen Hurts, and it messed with his psyche because Hurts came in as a second-round pick, clearly good locker room guy. Hurts not afraid to sit behind someone and just sort of, as he did in Alabama after Tua took over, and he still stayed in Alabama, showed he has a lot of mental toughness, and I think it messed with Wentz's head.
I totally agree that could have happened, but this whole bad locker room guy, he was good enough to be 11-2 that year they went to the Super Bowl. So something happened. I mean, he was really good, really, really good that year. Probably would have won MVP. And then he became a bad locker room guy, didn't handle success well. It's always been a little bit mysterious to me.
Well, I think the bottom line is, and this really started with a Joe Burrow conversation because Jamar Chase is telling Joe Burrow not to rush back, and not even for week 1. Don't even come back until week 5 because it's a long season and he thinks that they can hold water. But I understand the sentiment. I don't think I'd have the stones to do it. If he is feeling better and if he's feeling like he can play, I don't know if I could be that patient if I'm Burrow himself or if I'm the Bengals brass and to say no, sit through 5 weeks. That's what Jamar Chase suggested.
Yeah. No, Burrow seems like he would go out with half a leg.
That's why I think he's playing week 1.
Yeah, but I do think this contract situation is confusing, though. It certainly is a factor in that. Regardless of 100% healthy to play.
In many more ways than one.
He can't go out there without settling on some long-term deal.
Well, and again, more stakes for our show.
Yeah.
Because whoever wins the bet of whether Burrow's going to sign a bigger contract than Justin Herbert has to eat a bowl of Skyline chili with no hands. So this could come any day now, or it could never come. It's hanging over the show.
Are the Bengals really going to go into the season and not sign Joe Burrow to an extension when Justin Herbert just got one?
I find that very hard to believe because even if Burrow suffered an even more serious injury than what's just the calf strain and is not putting the season in peril, I still think they'd sign him to the massive extension.
Yeah.
Because he's the franchise right now.
No, it's terrible, and I don't wish this at all. But remember, Kevin Durant had an injury that was kind of around his Achilles, and then that injury made him more susceptible to another injury in the 2019 playoffs. Who knows?
And what happened? Brooklyn handed him a huge contract even when he was hurt.
Right. No, but my point was then he ended up missing 2 years because he wasn't careful enough on that leg.
He's also 7 feet tall and 28.
That being said, I think Joe Burrow should not play until he gets a contract. Because what if he did blow out his Achilles? Then there's a good chance he could lose millions of dollars. I mean, we're talking a $300 million contract. What if it goes down to $250?
Our man Nick in Texas, if you want to watch in the show in the chat and watch the show on YouTube, hello, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio. Nick says, I thought Andy Dalton was your main backup, Perloff. You are a huge Andy Dalton fan.
I mean,
now Andy's going to be backing up Bryce Young, who's getting rave reviews out of Carolina Panthers camp.
I mean, backup? Really?
What?
I mean, how many weeks till we see Andy on the field? I'd say if he doesn't get 9 games in the season, I'll be shocked.
Oh, man. But all the Bryce Young leading meetings, and he knows the offense inside and out already.
Andy Dalton is going to play football this season. I will tell you that right now.
Yeah, I said it as we were leading up to the draft. I was consistent on it. I think Bryce Young he's obviously incredibly talented. He's obviously an overachiever. He's obviously smart. He's obviously a great leader. He's barely 200 pounds and 5'11". And that's the part of it that I think is going to make it tough for him.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's always tough for rookie quarterbacks to actually thrive and win. So if he gets even a small injury and they're not in contention, then maybe they'll be cautious with him. For those reasons you say, then Andy will get a shot. I don't really like this team for Andy, by the way.
Why?
No, I mean, if he does get on the field, like, what is the upside? I think they're going to be a good, promising team, and there's going to be a lot of positive steps with Bryce Young. Andy Dalton's not going to go in there and contend for the Super Bowl with this Carolina Panthers roster. So you're asking me who's my favorite backup. That situation, I think he's going to be more of a mentor. I don't expect, if I was somebody like Andy Dalton, I would want to be Joe Burrow's backup. I would want to be a backup of a team that could get to the Super Bowl and then jump in on the Super Bowl.
You think that the Bengals would have brought Andy back to be a backup?
No. I think it's too much voltage on the backup.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, actually, you know what, though? I mean, listen, if I'm the Bengals and this injury's serious, why not call up Carolina and say, hey, let's trade for Andy Dalton? Get somebody better in here. That's what I'm keep on getting back to. And I think Carson Wentz is better. Get someone in there because the dude, your whole franchise is hurt. You don't want to rush him back.
I think the question is, Samter, maybe a poll question. Should the Bengals keep Joe Burrow out? Week 1, week 5, something like that? Follow Jamar Chase. The fact that Chase actually admitted that he probably could have played last year but sat out a game, I mean, it ended up being fine and they had a great season, made it to the AFC Championship game. But usually guys, I don't think they admit that. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the thing, I don't know if Chase is supporting man. The contract is hanging over all this, right? We do agree that Joe Burrow should not play until he signs that contract?
I think he will play even without the contract. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You're welcome to weigh in on Joe Burrow and on the Bengals and your expectations for what it should be a huge season. Had some crazy, crazy stuff going on this weekend, including one of the biggest questions of the NFL season. We will answer that next. Don't move. Maggie, Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Minutes remaining. Minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Let me know when you're ready. Okay. One second. Okay. This is Andrew Perloff with an Odyssey Sports Minute. This is Andrew Perloff with a CBS Sports Minute. We all know that television ratings are huge for NFL games. But if you want to get a sense of where pro football is with fans right now, take a tour of training camps this weekend. Beyond the day-to-day, the Packers had over 65,000 come to Lambeau Field to watch practice. The Eagles had over 50,000 fans at the Link for practice. In exactly 1 month, the NFL kicks off with the Chiefs-Lions. The hype is already out of control. By early September, expect pure mayhem. I'm Andrew Perloff.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. Minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So, big Hall of Fame weekend for us, I feel like. I feel like a friend of ours got into the Hall of Fame, the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio.
Who?
Well, sort of. A twin of a friend of ours.
We're friends with Tiki?
We're friends with Tiki. I mean, Rondé getting in, that was basically Tiki getting in. Can we all admit that?
They look alike?
They don't just look alike. I mean, come on.
They're both incredible players.
If you squinted at your television screen, Tiki Barber made it to the Hall of Fame this weekend. And by the way, there was a lot of buzz on social media and people on TV saying, looking back at the numbers, saying, whoa, Tiki Barber has a great Hall of Fame case, too. I think he gets in someday. But Rondé getting in was basically Tiki getting in.
Yeah, here was part of Rondé's speech where he talks about Tiki and honored his brother.
See, in my family, legendary is a standard. Tiki, without him, I wouldn't have had that daily reminder to chase greatness. I am here because of my brother. The inherent competition, the easy motivation to match accomplishments, and the unwavering, unconditional support that only a twin can know. You simply cannot tell my story without telling our story.
There you go.
Only a twin. I've always wanted a twin.
Really?
I don't know. It'd be cool. I'd be curious who would win in a fight. You don't think Tiki and Rondé have fought out?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, when you're kids, probably.
Well, especially in high school and in college, like one played offense, one played defense. I'm sure they went up against each other plenty of times.
Isn't it funny that we were talking, the big story of the summer was running backs not getting paid. You have a perfect example of family, very similar athletic skills. One became a cornerback.
Yep.
He made the Hall of Fame. One became a running back. He was arguably a much, much bigger star for his playing days because he had the ball in his hand and got in the end zone. And Rondé's in the Hall of Fame. Probably got paid more. Did he get paid more?
I'm not sure about that. We'd have to go back and look. But
because running backs used to get paid.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can see the Hall of Fame case for both of them. I think that, Rondé played a lot longer because Tiki, retired at, when he was still in his prime to go start his media career, which obviously we're thankful for over here at CBS. But I think that, also Rondé, they won the Super Bowl as opposed to Tiki's Giants, got to the Super Bowl and lost. I don't know if that factors into the voters' minds, but, that 2000 Ravens team really handed it to the Giants.
Yeah. Mike, what did you say the salaries were?
Yeah, so Rondé almost doubled Tiki, $46 million for Rondé, but he played till 2012, whereas Tiki only played till 2006.
Yeah.
He made about $25 million.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, and Tiki, I mean, back when Tiki was playing, when the running backs were still getting paid a lot, maybe he would have doubled his salary if he had played for 6 more years.
Definitely.
Yeah.
At 25, it sounds like nothing now, but I think we got to go back to early 2000s. I think that was a pretty good size chunk of money.
Definitely. But yeah, that was really great. I mean, I thought the Joe Thomas speech was really interesting when he's like, yeah, I've blocked for like 25 quarterbacks. He's like, so I've got that honor, even though all of them were terrible because it was Browns quarterbacks, you know. But for him to stay loyal to the Browns when he did, you know, potentially have a chance to move and go to Denver for that Super Bowl run in 2015 is really something for Joe Thomas.
And also, too,
10,000 straight snaps.
I love pictures of Joe Thomas looking out of shape, big offensive tackle, and now he's so just jacked and looks amazing.
Oh,
so good for
Vegas,
Joe Thomas.
He looked great.
Yeah, he's a good-looking dude.
And so we're having this Hall of Fame, you know, DeMarcus Ware, his speech was unbelievable, talking about his rough upbringing and going to Troy and making it from a small school to the Hall of Fame, and so many incredible speeches. And then here comes Micah Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys, who is talking about what he hopes to be a future Hall of Fame career.
I don't think I just want to make the Hall of Fame. I just want to be known as one of the greatest Hall of Famers. You know, there's categories to everything. You know, there's good, there's great, and there's like perfect. And when you talk about me, I don't want to just be mentioned in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, that's a great accolade, but I want to be one of the greatest in the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Just the Hall of Fame. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. But I want to be known as one of the greatest Hall of Famers.
Wow.
You know, I think there is a distinction with the Hall of Fame because I think we go out of our way to mention when someone is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Totally. Also, the one thing is each sport is different, too, because everybody gets in football. I mean, it's a giant 7 people every year. Baseball, you're lucky if you get 2. So I think it's hard. I don't know if the numbers plays out. It's way harder in baseball, right?
Well, I don't know, because then you still have like the Harold Baineses and guys like that who, you know, people don't believe should be in, who do get in because there's a veterans committee.
And football rosters are like more than double, more than double the size of a baseball roster. So you really think
baseball
about, like,
rosters are, they're not tiny though. It's not basketball.
No,
I mean,
but still, I mean, you got 53 guys for 32 teams. The amount of guys who play in the NFL, and then you only get 5 in per year. It feels like there should be. There's so many guys who are on these lists of semifinalists and finalists. We talked about Tiki. Like
Torrey
Tiki better
Holt.
get in eventually. He has 3 2,000 all-purpose yard seasons, and 1 year where he was 16 yards short of that. He's one of like 3 guys in the 10,000 rushing, 5,000 receiving area, and like he's not in because he had a shorter kind of career, but he's a Hall of Famer.
Well, so he might get in someday.
I think he will, but to your point that like a lot of guys, everyone in the NFL gets in, everyone in basketball gets in.
Everyone gets in.
Everyone
Well,
gets
no,
in.
only the guys
Football
who played
is a little bit
internationally.
No, because like Tracy McGrady's in, people like that.
Yeah, no, but Tracy McGrady's a Hall of Fame. He's sick.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, it's not just the international guys. You get a lot of guys who, you know, Russell Westbrook's going to be in because he won an MVP.
Yeah, you win an MVP, you're in the NBA. Yeah, but
Derrick Rose is probably.
But if you win an MVP in football, you're obviously in.
No, Boomer won an MVP and he's not in.
How many MVPs are not in besides Boomer? It's in the last 30 years.
Sean Alexander, is he in?
Wow, that's a poll. Nice job.
So it's 2.
I mean, you're asking me to do this off the top of my head. Give me a second.
I'll tell you right now, there can't possibly be another one since what was Boomer, 87? So, actually, I don't no idea about the
How about Cam Newton, Matt Ryan? Are they going to get in?
Well,
if it's up to Perloff, yes.
I think so.
Perloff puts every quarterback in.
I think both make it.
Rich Gannon?
Yeah.
Steve McNair?
Gannon, no.
Steve McNair?
McNair's not going to get in.
McNair might get in.
Posthumously?
I think McNair has a chance. I mean, 9 guys got in this year, right? And 9 guys get in every year now. There's this crazy
it's like
veterans
5 guys,
committee.
and then there's like a couple coaches, and then executives, and
the veterans committee.
There's usually 2 guys in the veterans committee. But
the 100 year they let in 20 guys, and they like the NFL has quietly gone bananas on their Hall of Fame.
That was the centennial. They just wanted to get like certain guys that had been, like the Tom Floreses who should have been in, who just kept not getting in. But typically it's just 5 guys every year who get in.
No, I think it's more than that now.
It's 5 in the regular group, and then they have all these other different committees.
Yeah. Like there were 9 guys this weekend. So where'd they come? I mean, Ken Riley, is he more of a Hall of Famer than Harold Baines?
So maybe we should have tiers. Maybe Micah Parsons is right about this. You know, like Deion Sanders has always talked about a separate room for the inner circle Hall of Famers. I thought the distinction of being a first ballot is enough, But maybe we do need some different tiers on this. You're going in as a platinum or a silver and gold or something like that.
Well, Jason Taylor, the pass rusher from the Dolphins, first ballot. There's no way he's in a room of any kind of Hall of Fame.
Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
If you want a distinction, that seems to be the only one we have so far.
Yeah, even that sometimes doesn't work out. Look, I'm looking at the last few Hall of Fame classes. It is closer to the Hall. I mean, all right. Is Rondé Barber, can you tell the story of football in the 2000s without Rondé Barber?
You can't tell the story of the Philadelphia Eagles without Rondé Barber.
Yeah, I hate to say it, Perloff.
Baseball. Who went in? Baseball never lets anyone in. Baseball is so thin.
Okay, but they probably have guys that they should let in that they're not. Like, don't we all think that Barry Bonds should be in? Don't we think that Clemens should be in?
Well, there's obvious reasons those guys aren't in.
Okay, but you're just saying that, that they don't let anyone in. Well, there's they're making a moral judgment on a lot of them because they weren't even testing for steroids for a lot of the times that Clemens and Bonds were playing.
By the way, I'm looking back at last year. Fred Crime Dog McGriff got in. I was so psyched about that. But for the life of me, and he played for my team for a decade, I do not understand Scott Rowland in the Baseball Hall of Fame. How did Scott Rowland get into the Hall of Fame?
He's got numbers, and now with
numbers
baseball,
of what? He doesn't have anything.
With baseball, I think looking back with some of the advanced analytics, I think has helped some of these guys.
Give me a break. I watched some guy play. There's no way he's a third baseman who hit like 250 home runs in his career. He makes no sense.
Well, then why are you telling me that it's so hard to get in the Baseball Hall of Fame when clearly it's not?
He hit 316 home runs. Crime Dog almost hit 500. It took him 10 years to get in. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong about baseball. It feels like baseball, if you didn't do steroids, you openly didn't do steroids, you're in. They're just so desperate.
They're just looking for candidates.
So do you want tiers?
I think it would add a very interesting twist. Yeah. Unfortunately, it might water down like the bottom tiers, but
yeah, I think it's too insulting to the guys who are in the bottom tiers.
But you're getting in the Hall of Fame, so you still get that distinction. It would make it interesting. It's like, are you a platinum Hall of Famer? Or are you a gold Hall of Famer?
So who is all right? The class of 2023 in football. Who of this group would have been gold? First of all, it's
Darrelle Revis.
Revis won, okay,
and DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Ware
never won a Super Bowl.
But all the seasons with the double-digit sacks?
I don't know. He's great.
This is your Eagles bias coming
I love DeMarcus Ware. I think he's great. He's probably one of the best defensive ends the last 25 years.
I mean, Joe Thomas.
So Joe Thomas played in 3 playoff games.
I know. Well, it's hard because he was on such a crappy team, but he was an exceptional left tackle.
I think Joe Thomas and Revis are probably the two golds. I don't know if there's a platinum guy this year. Like a platinum guy's going to be like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady. That's a platinum.
Revis is probably the closest.
He's probably the closest to a although Joe Thomas might go down as the greatest tackle of all time. He's top 5.
It's kind of hard because of the Browns thing.
Yeah, but I don't think you blame quarterback gets judged. Yeah, quarterback gets judged based off of
coaches.
Wins.
I mean,
coaches. Tackles don't.
I think you could see it, even though you don't have to be like a football expert to understand.
Now this whole tier system came from Dion. Is Dion a platinum? Is he a gold?
Yeah.
How fun would that be if Dion calls for the tiers and
then
he gets
in the lower tier and T.O.'s over him or something? Or, I don't know who he feels competitive with.
It's also so hard by
replace it with a silver one.
It's so hard by position too. Like the guys who don't have stats, like Joe Thomas, for example, left tackles and
the 10,000 over 10,000 snaps. I mean, that's a big one.
Big for what?
The durability. I was thinking, how many of those were 3 and outs?
That would make AC Green the number 1 pick in the basketball Hall of Fame. But I think defensive tackles, it's kind of hard to tell how good was Vince Wilfork if you don't have a sack number. I think it's hard. I think you got to put them all. I mean, realistically, they're never going to do these tiers.
No, I don't think so. The question is, do you think Michael Parsons? I mean, he's on a Hall of Fame track, that's for sure.
I hate to say this, speaking as an Eagles fan, he's headed for the gold level. I mean, that dude is ridiculous. But that being said, I would rather hear him say, I want to win a Super Bowl first and not talk about individual honors. That's how I roll.
Yeah, sure. I don't know what he was asked.
Yeah, true.
He might have said that, actually. I don't know, but...
But that being said, if Micah Parsons
talked about a Super Bowl too.
If he really is this gold level Aaron Donald single-handedly willed that Rams team to a Super Bowl. If Micah Parsons is that good, he's going to do that for the Cowboys at some point. Otherwise, what's he talking about here?
I mean, he's got the skill to do it.
Does he?
Well, I mean, Aaron Donald was just so unique to be able to do what he's doing from his size on the interior. But,
yeah.
You still need the quarterback, though.
Definitely.
I mean, like Micah
and the wide receivers.
Micah could be all world, all platinum, all first tier Hall of Fame, and if Dak keeps sliding, with 3 seconds left, you're not going anywhere.
Well, think about it. I mean, yeah, you need a great defensive player, but like we forget that Cooper Kupp could have won MVP that year. He was on an all-timer as an offense. And then added Odell in the middle of the season, and he was all in good shape and motivated.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of the Super Bowl. I mean, it was.
Yeah, they lost Odell in the Super Bowl.
No, I just think
that
Donald
final drive.
Yeah, Aaron Donald just said, "Forget it. You're not winning this game against me." Otherwise, Joe Burrow would be a champion and probably already gotten paid. But it is a great question. I do think to get into the gold level, don't you have to win a Super Bowl? Or am I asking too much?
You might be asking too much.
I mean, Deion won one, obviously. Won two.
We're talking about
3.
I mean, you're talking about the Hall of Fame. At that point, it is time to talk about the individual accomplishment, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but you know what I'm saying. To be like the top of the top, an all-time Hall of Famer, I would hope that you won a Super Bowl. Otherwise, I mean, I guess Dan Marino, but I'd hope you'd be the exception not winning a Super Bowl because you're talking about the great, great players. You should be able to be part of a championship team.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. What do you think? Should there be tiers in the Hall of Fame?
Was that, you were looking at me, is that obviously because none of your favorite players on the Bills would have gotten to the gold level if there's no Super Bowl victory required?
You're telling me that Bruce Smith wouldn't have been an exception?
I mean, he was great in Washington. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, sure. 855-212-4CBS. Okay, got a lot more to do, including something we have not gotten to yet. It's important. We'll get to the craziest moment from the weekend. We'll do that after this CBS Sports Update. Here's Rich Ackerman.
CBS Sports Radio. Sports Flash.
Well, there's not much left of the Pac-12, and now Stanford and Cal seem ready to bolt. ESPN reports the ACC will soon hold a call to discuss the possibility of adding the two schools. It's quite simple. The Saints needed a running back. Kareem Hunt needs a home, so the team is meeting with the free agent today after Alvin Kamara was suspended for 3 games, and the team also hit hard by injuries at that position this summer. Titus Howard of the Texans out 4 to 6 weeks with a broken hand. Suspensions handed out today for Saturday's brawl between the White Sox and Guardians. Tim Anderson received a 6-game suspension for starting it all. His counterpart in the main event, Jose Ramirez, got 3. While both managers, Pedro Grifol and Terry Francona, suspended 1, as well as the Guardians closer, Emmanuel Clase. Right now, there's one game going on, high-scoring affair in San Diego, where the Dodgers lead the Padres by a score of 8-5 in the bottom half of the 5th. Mookie Betts with his 31st home run in this one for the Dodgers, who have a 4-game lead in the National League West. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is Jim Rome. Have a strong take? Then I want to hear from you. Weekdays from 12 to 3 Eastern, right here on CBS Sports Radio.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds. It's time to answer Ask the Pros question today, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Today's question comes from Phil in New York. Do you think the instant replay technology they use in the women's soccer match will ever come to the NFL? You can submit a question by tweeting at CBS Sports Radio or at Maggie and Pearl using the hashtag #AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. All right, so Maggie, a lot of people were mad about the way the U.S. women's soccer team lost because they went to instant replay. But how long would you say it was? 25 seconds?
Yeah, it wasn't very long to look to see whether the final penalty kick actually got past the U.S. goalie.
Right, and the whole ball has to go past the line. I learned all this.
Yeah.
So why...
We all became experts.
What are some of the reasons you can't do it, or they haven't done it in football? Because it seems like football, there's a lot of line. There's a goal line.
Yep.
And then there's first down lines. So there's constantly arguments about that. They're placing the football. Gene Steratore is putting a piece of paper between the ball and the
These
goal line stick.
Older gentlemen kind of running out with the sticks.
Yeah, what is that all about? If they can have this technology for soccer. They have it for tennis. They have it for lots of sports. Why not have this chip technology for football?
I wish they would, because we spend so much time blaming the officials for a lot of these calls that might be able to get cleaned up just with this technology, like putting chips inside the football. It just feels very reasonable. If they're doing it in other sports, at least to test it out and try it in like the, I don't know, XFL, AAF, or, you have all these other spring leagues and stuff. Why not give it a shot there? I'm not sure if they are.
I think that there's a couple factors. Maybe when is the knee down? That's always a debate, and that's always hard to tell in replay.
Yeah, I mean, the replay is... Listen, there's going to be some stuff when you just have 22 guys or like 21 guys all in a pile together that might be kind of impossible. But for other, like the first down line, I think that seems very possible.
I'm thinking of the Eagles push play at the goal line.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to do the chip in the ball for that? That's going to be a mess.
Well, that's the whole thing. The chip would be in the ball, so you would know exactly where the ball is.
But how do you know when Jalen Hurts, the Eagles quarterback, knee is down?
I don't have any idea. Maybe you just put a chip in the knee pads, too. You can put a chip in every part of the player.
Like when the chip both... Yeah, but then when the chip is... Yeah, but it could be the elbow also.
Yeah, it could be the elbow, the butt.
And isn't 2 butt cheeks worth one knee?
I think it is 2 butt cheeks.
Or 1 butt cheek.
I hope we're not putting chips in the butt.
It might be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
No, that's going to be hard. And Mike, you were saying the shape of the football might be tricky?
Yeah, I've heard a few different people who actually work within the NFL or like work within the replay area of the NFL. And part of the issue has been the fact that like a tennis ball is, it's a consistent shape. A soccer ball is a consistent shape. The oblong part of the football, you might see the tip of the ball, but maybe the ball's sideways. And so the ball actually was 2 inches or 3 inches farther up. So it's a little bit more difficult that way. Now, Pearl, if you brought up a point of having a chip on both ends of the football, maybe that can help you determine the angle and which way the football is actually facing.
With betting and everything, maybe computers and chips, they should do all that because there's more at stake now.
I would try some of this if I were at least the NFL. Just because, again, like you're watching yesterday morning and you're watching the referee and she's like waiting for the call from somewhere else. Now, I know they do some of this in the NFL. There's this, the Sky Cam, like Sky Judge or whatever, makes a couple calls. But this is great because it takes the actual refs on the field off the hook.
Yeah, and it's more accurate.
And it's more, I think,
Is the fan experience bad having to wait around?
I didn't think it was that bad. It builds the drama, I think.
By the way, if the Eagles or the Bills get screwed by that technology someday, we will rail against that.
Well, I'd rail more against, I feel for the poor Saints fans who got, gypped out of a Super Bowl because a back judge, with a pass interference.
Penalty. I don't know if that's going to have a chip in the ball.
That wouldn't have, There's still going to be a human element to it.
So if you're all for the football thing, are you all for automatic robot-called strike zones?
Yes.
I am,
right?
too.
1,000%.
Me too.
Oh, 1,000%. I am, but it makes me nervous.
No, I think the automated strike zones are great. You still have the umpire back there for the theater of it, balls and strikes, and the plays at the plate. Although if Giancarlo Stanton is running to home plate, then you don't need an umpire because everyone knows that he's out by a mile.
I saw that. That
Obviously
was amazing.
Can't run
20 miles an hour. Well, so the umpire hears ball or strike in his ear from the computer, and then he calls it?
Yeah. So you still get, the call.
So, do you know what? I'm into that. I'm into all of this. I do think it's going to put some umpires out of work.
Yeah, well,
like all of AI.
Yeah, I know.
But the NFL is going to be tricky because I thought, you guys had me convinced we could do it. Then I thought of the Eagles push play, and no one's going to have any idea in that pile what's happening.
Well, hopefully they're going to eliminate that pretty soon. Not this year, but soon.
Oh, what happened? Did that pass?
Yeah, the committee, remember, they were looking at it, and they decided it could stay. And then Jason Kelce was like, I'm coming back.
Yeah, that's like 70% of the Eagles' offense.
Like Jalen Hurts is an MVP. I'm like, well,
honestly,
push play.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt. If they took that push play out, the Eagles are a wild card team. I'm convinced.
Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos is brought to you by those who drink it. Today's Casamigos shot of the day, we started talking about who could be the most exciting NFL teams this year, and Perloff didn't like my choice.
They're the Atlanta Falcons. Even if they were exciting, nobody wants to watch the Atlanta Falcons. It's just that kind of franchise. They're like a Washington Wizards kind of. Wait, you guys know what I'm talking about? Have you ever been like, oh, yes, Atlanta football. It's catching excitement.
Yes. every year.
They have one great team in that state, and it's the Georgia Bulldogs. That's all anyone in Atlanta cares about. Not only do they not have a primetime game, I read they had the most 1 o'clock games of any team. They're the Rutgers of the NFL.
That's not true.
They're like, hey, it's like Indiana's
so
playing
mean.
Kentucky. Let's in football. Let's put it on at noon. Oh, that does sound mean.
I can't wait until Kyle Pitts and our guy, now my guy, he can no longer be your guy, Bijan Robinson, after you disrespect them.
I love Bijan.
I know you do. Now, Drake London, Desmond Ridder, these are all my guys now. David Onyemata, these are my dudes.
Look at
Jesse Bates, yeah, sorry.
Look at their backup receivers. Their first receivers, Drake London, Matt Collins, Scotty Miller. Then it's Kaderil Hodge, Frank Darby, Penny Hart, Khalil Harris, and Josh Ali. This is a strange offense.
Hopefully they have unprecedented health.
Desmond Ridder will start at QB. I'm looking at their depth chart. Do you remember it? I did not remember this. Taylor Heineke's down there.
Yeah.
He could win some games.
High-end backup.
Yeah, this is going to be
Plan B.
All right, maybe you sold me a little bit on Atlanta. Maybe I'm getting into it a little bit.
And who's your most exciting team?
My most, for the purpose of this conversation, the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are going to be fire this year. They're going to rack up points. How can you not be into this?
Listen,
join the bandwagon that everyone else is on.
Amon-Ra St. Brown made me a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I appreciate
You like those picks for Amon-Ra.
I did. It was a lot of receptions. He hit a lot of overs, and I appreciated that last year.
Jared Goff was 29 touchdowns, 7 picks last year. If he improved by 10%, he's in the MVP conversation. I know that sounds weird, but the reality is if that offense, which is indoor, does really well, this could be a really exciting year.
And to be honest, Maggie, the audience and our listeners and the Weirdos especially have spoken, and it's ugly. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. So which team are you more excited to watch in 2023? The Detroit Lions, the Atlanta Falcons, 91.9% going with Jared Goff over Desmond Ridder.
Man, everyone's going to be eating their words, too.
The NFL did pick the Lions for the season opener.
And then gave the Falcons no primetime games, as you as we just heard from you.
I just think the Falcons are going to be quite conservative on offense.
Oh, see, I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, they might run the ball, but Bijan Robinson's going to catch the ball. I'm not so sure about that. Here's a question. By the time we come into work tomorrow to do the show, will Stanford and Cal be a part of the ACC?
I say
because these things move lightning fast when they want them to.
I can't wrap my head around this one, so I'm going to say no. I cannot see this Wake Forest Cal matchup. It's really hard for me to logically put together.
I could see it happening. I think that geographic, unfortunately, I don't say this with any glee, but the geographic rivalries just feels like are pretty much over. And now what's the difference? It's like if you have to get on an airplane, if you're Cal and you have to get on an airplane to play Nebraska or to play Indiana, I mean, what's the big deal? Just another hour more and just go play North Carolina.
I know you're right. So who is left then? Washington State and Oregon State, right? Yep. And they'll have to go somewhere, too, unless you're going to have the Pac-2. They will not get an hey, all of a sudden, Washington State gets an automatic bid.
The sixth matchup of the year between the Cougars and the Beavers.
The Pac-2.
It'd be amazing. And you know what? Hulu's giving them $1 billion because everyone wants to be into live rights.
Well, I mean, listen, if you're going to call it the Pac-2, you might as well flip that around and call it the Tupac Conference.
Have to. What a dad joke. Wow.
Yeah. That sort of just was formulating in my mind for the last 2 minutes. I'm like,
and his hologram can participate
announce
in every halftime show.
And the winner of the 7th matchup from Washington State, Oregon State, Tupac's hologram will announce.
It'd be amazing because we always say if these two teams played 100 times, what would be the outcome? It's like, well, now Oregon State and Washington State are going to simulate a whole season.
The most anticipated conference championship game of all time as they play for the 11th time this season, and they split the series 5-5.
Do you think that the audience would go up for that every week or go down for it every week? I think it'd go up.
Yeah. People, it's like pro wrestling. You could have the same guys wrestling each other every week.
It's true. I think storylines would build. You're right. It would be like pro wrestling.
Storylines would absolutely build, right? You get a late hit in week 7. And so now week 9, the guy comes back from suspension and boom,
Honestly, we might be onto something there. The last 2 Pac-12 commissioners were so bad, we just might have handed them the best idea they've had in 2 years.
Absolutely. We should do tomorrow. What will be the worst matchup in the new conferences? I'm going to put it right now. If Cal is scheduled to play NC State, they should just call it off and just be like, forget it. There's just no reason. Like, what's the point? Does anyone care at all?
How about Washington? Let's see. In Boston College, Indiana?
Well, Boston's College, ACC.
I guess that's not going to work.
Indiana, UCLA has a nice basketball rivalry, so that's worth something.
That's historic. Man.
Yeah. Listen, the Purdue's, the Northwesterns, all those schools, they should be playing regional schools. They shouldn't be going out to the West Coast. But you know what we're going to watch, Maggie? You know that's true. We can complain all we want, but what are we going to be doing Saturday?
Well, now I just want to be watching Oregon State for Washington State, part 10. This is when everything's really on the line. Thank you to Mike Samter. Thank you to Jack Curry. Thank you to the Weedos, the Purple Drinkers. Can't do the show without you, the callers as well. We're back tomorrow with plenty more good ideas to give to the Pac-12.
Including the greatest rivalry in sports history.
The Pac-2. See you tomorrow.
Or the Tupac.